And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lewis versus Robbins. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Debbie Lewis is suing her ex-husband, assembly line worker James Robbins, for half the cost of their daughter's wedding. Debbie says he reneged on his promise to pay.
Ms. Lewis, the defendant is your former husband, and according to the complaint that I read, he agreed to pay for half of your daughter's wedding. Which one of these two lovelies is getting married? What's your name?
Angie.
How old are you, Angie?
23.
When are you getting married?
I already got married. I got married in September.
And he paid for half the wedding, and it was a very reasonably priced wedding. Half the cost of the wedding was $865. And he didn't pay.
No.
And you want him to pay?
Yes.
And he did go to the wedding?
Yes. He walked her down the aisle, did everything the father does.
Okay.
Except for pay.
Okay. Now, Mr. Robbins does not deny the fact that he agreed to pay for half the wedding. Correct, sir?
Correct.
And he does not deny the fact that he went to the wedding. Correct?
Correct.
And who else went with you to the wedding?
My wife, Robin.
So, Mr. Robbins, the ball is in your court, sir. Why didn't you pay for half your daughter's wedding as you promised?
Well, because ever since I've left her in '90, she's been putting her hands in my pockets trying to get money out of me for everything. And the divorce decree that we have does say that she gets to use the kids for taxes reasons. But the state of Utah took custody from her because of verbal and physical abuse. And I got a paper here that says that the divorce decree follows the child. And it cost me $1,600 because she did claim my daughter on taxes where I have the right to. And I also have a letter from her that's showing that the custodial parent gets to claim them on taxes. And if that's the case, I didn't get to claim them for 13 years that we've been divorced.
If you believe that in a certain year, I assume last year, that you had the right to claim a child as a deduction, she claims the child. You claim the child, and the IRS is going to come and look at both of your tax returns and say they will make a decision as to who is going to claim the child as a deduction. The other one will have a penalty. But you don't do a set-off. You promise to pay for half the wedding. Why didn't you pay her between September and April?
I told her that I would pay her when I could, which was...
No, that's not right. What do you mean when you could? How many children do you have?
Well, I have 4 with my wife now.
We have 3 children.
Just a second. You have 4 children now. And how many children do you have that got married last year?
Just 1.
And you said you would pay for half the wedding.
Yes, I did.
Pay for it. It's the right thing to do. And stop making excuses and stop telling me what happened in 1990, that she's had her hand in your pocket. You
well, it just all added up. I mean, everything's added up.
Mr. Robbins, you have altogether 7 children?
Well, I've got 4 stepchildren, 3.
Then I'm not talking about your stepchildren. They are not your responsibility.
Oh, I married them, so I feel they are.
Well, I'm telling you, by law, they are not your responsibility unless your family is on welfare, are they?
No.
Well, if your family is not on welfare, then those children are not your financial responsibility. They are the financial responsibility of their mother and their father, not you. You have primary responsibility for only 3 biological children. 3. And your first biological child was getting married. She was having a very small wedding. $865 represents your half. And if you didn't have the money to pay the $865, you should have gotten another job. Do I make myself clear, sir?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $865. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. It's fair time.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Daniels versus Sizemore. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Tammy Daniels is suing her ex-husband, factory worker George Sizemore, for his share of their son's funeral expenses. George says Tammy didn't consult him regarding the arrangements.
Ms. Daniels, the defendant is your former husband. You have 2 children together, or had 2 children together?
Yes, ma'am.
Your oldest son had been in the Marines.
Yes, ma'am.
Where was he stationed?
He was in Paris Island, and then he went to Camp Lejeune, South Carolina.
He came back from the Marines, and tragically, he committed suicide.
Yes,
when was that?
It was in Louisville, Kentucky.
When?
On July the 17th, 2004.
It is your claim that your former husband agreed to pay for half of certain funeral expenses, and he did not.
Yes.
That's what you're suing him for.
Yes, ma'am.
And your former husband says that he was not consulted with regard to things that you purchased, certain flowers, memorial stone, and he's not paying for it.
Yes, sir, ma'am.
Okay. When did you make the arrangement, Mrs. Daniels, with Mr. Sizemore to pay certain of the funeral expenses?
My son died on July the 17th. My ex-husband come to my house. That was on a Saturday. My ex-husband come to my house on a Sunday with my husband and my son and my sister and a few of my other family members was there, and we discussed the flowers. He helped pick out the flowers. We had a meeting Saturday when I found out my son died. We had to go to Grayson's funeral home, and we had to pick out the funeral service, the casket, and everything. It totaled up that day to be, just for the funeral service, $5,998.70.
What was the discussion about the flowers?
He agreed to pay half of them that
That's what I want
Friday.
to know. He agreed to pay for half.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much were the flowers?
The flowers was $225.
And what else did he agree to pay for?
He agreed to pay half of the gravesite.
How much was the gravesite?
$400.
Who paid for that?
Me and my husband.
What else did he agree to pay for half of?
He agreed to pay half for the headstone.
Who picked out the headstone?
My sons.
Did Mr. Sizemore have any input in the headstone?
Yes, I called him that Saturday morning when we were going to look for the headstone and asked him if him and Mary would meet us up at the monument, and he said that he couldn't make it. I said, George, are you going to help me with our son's headstone and the money you owe us? And he said, I don't have the effing money.
I'm going to hear you, Mr. Sizemore.
Okay. To start out with, yes, we started looking at the flowers on that Sunday. You know,
Okay.
I did agree to pay half of the flowers for the
Okay.
flowers. As far as the gravesite went, yes, the funeral director did say it was going to be an additional $400. And I said that was fine with me. You know, it started out, I'd wanted him buried.
Just a second. So you agreed to pay for half the gravesite?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Yes, I did.
All right, fine.
Okay, and during the time that we were setting up the funeral arrangements and the graves and all that, I was asked that, you know, we were asked where did we want him buried. I wanted him buried in my family area. Okay, her sister and her spoke up and said, well, we want him close to our mom, which is fine if he'd been buried there. My son is buried in a public cemetery by himself. You know, I didn't agree to that site.
Why is that, Ms. Daniels?
My son is buried where the spots was open, and it's right down from my mom. And
Just a minute. Is there any reason why, if he wasn't buried in the same plot as your family, that he wasn't buried in Mr. Sizemore's family's plot?
he lives about 6 miles from where we live. He has to come through Charlestown to go to Otisco. He goes by my son's grave every day. That was right there where everybody could go and visit my son.
Okay, fine. That's a reason. That's a reason. Okay, so far, Mr. Sizemore, I see that you owe your former wife $312 for the expenses that you agreed to pay half for and did not. I don't know about the tombstone because I haven't heard an agreement to pay for half of that.
As far as the headstone goes, they called and asked me about, you know, meeting and getting it. And I told them that the only requirement that I actually asked for on that is that it be black granite. Time prior, before my son passed away, we talked about things like it because, you know, I'm getting older, and he's always telling me, you know,
How old are you?
42. Okay.
When you're 42, you don't think about what color granite you want on your gravesite.
I do. Life's too
What?
fast to think about things like that. But anyways, to go on, I said the only thing that really requires that be black granite, and with him being in the military, he was very proud of that. I wanted that. I wanted something with his battalion or whatever. And I said, I will not pay over $1,000 for my half of this headstone.
Okay, so how much was that stone?
The headstone totaled out to $3,745.
Okay. So he already told you that he wasn't going to pay for more than $1,000.
No, he did not. He told me he would pay half when I talked to him on the phone.
Was the stone that you selected black granite?
Yes, ma'am.
Is black granite?
He's never been there to see.
Ma'am, I cannot go up there if my family's gone. I said, yeah. As far as I know, it is, yes.
Okay, well, then you got half of what you wanted because I assume it doesn't say anything about the military. Is that right?
Ma'am, I don't know.
Yes, it does. It's got his military picture on it.
So it has his military picture on it. So you got your black granite and you got his picture on it.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you got to pay $1,000 for it. That's what you said. Let's say
And I
that that's
agree.
what you said, that you were going to pay $1,000 for it. So
ma'am.
that's $1,312. Look, Ms. Daniels, when somebody dies prematurely like this, anger is a much easier emotion to deal with than loss and sorrow. Don't be angry. Don't be angry at her. The fact that your son isn't buried in a place that you would have preferred.
I'm not angry with her.
So don't be angry.
No.
You have to sort of put a period, take care of this responsibility,
Yes, ma'am.
and look forward. Don't say anything else. That's all. Thank you.
If your parties are excused, you may step out.
It's just another line of her harassing me.
He lied. He knows all about it. He's the one who has to deal with what a disgrace of a father that he really is.
I guess probably because she wants me to come back to her and it's not happening.
He wouldn't return her call. He's behind in child support. He won't pay nothing.
All she had to do is give me the receipts, you know. Instead of calling me up on the phone telling me I killed my son.
He's the one who's got to stand in front of God on Judgment Day.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Rushworth versus Tripp, step forward.
Broker coordinator Sheila Rushworth is suing her ex-boyfriend, project manager Clay Tripp, for breaking an apartment lease and for his share of household bills. Clay says Sheila kicked him out.
Miss Rushworth, you have 2 children, is that right?
Yes, I do.
How old are they?
14 and just turned 11.
According to your complaint, you and Mr. Tripp were in a relationship and decided to lease an apartment or a home together.
Correct.
You did so and moved in with your 2 children. There came a time when the 2 of you weren't getting along anymore. Mr. Tripp moved out of the apartment.
Yes.
There was an altercation. He moved out of the apartment, and you want him to pay his share of the remainder of the lease because you evidently had an agreement where you would each pay half the rent.
Correct, yes.
In addition, you say that he left owing some household bills and that you lost some days' pay because he filed a false restraining order against you that you had to take time to have resolved. Mr. Tripp says that you harassed him by phone after the breakup, which inspired his request for a protective order, that he owes you nothing for the rent because you had an agreement, according to him, that he can establish, and that agreement was you told him in exchange for keeping his part of the security deposit, you would take care of the rest of the rent and bills. And it wasn't until after you ascertained that he was in another relationship, a relationship where he was having a child with somebody else, that you decided that he owed you the money. That's your defense.
That's right.
When did you sign this lease, Ms. Rushworth?
I had originally lived in the home for 1 year prior to signing the lease with the defendant.
How were you paying the rent at that time?
The rent at that time was at a reduced amount. It was at $1,100 a month. Once Clay moved in with us, it was then increased to $1,600 a month.
When did Mr. Tripp sign the lease?
The lease was signed by both of us on May 1st, and I have a copy of that.
And prior to May 1st of 2004, you lived there for 1 year paying the rent all by yourself.
Correct, and I have a copy of the first page of that lease as well.
Okay. You had already paid $1,100 a security deposit. There was another $500 owed. Who paid the $500?
There was an additional $500 for the security deposit
That's
that
what I
was
said.
borrowed from my parents.
Is that correct, Mr. Tripp?
Your Honor, I'll have to say that, no, I believe I put the money up for that security deposit at that time.
You have a check?
No, I don't have a check. I paid in cash. We did, however, live together in that home from July of the year previously with the knowledge of the owner, who insisted we sign the lease come the next turn of events.
Ah, I see. So you lived there for almost a year,
Almost a year.
paying $1,100 a month for rent.
Precisely, which was below market, but it was right next.
And how much did you contribute of the $1,100?
Half.
Is that right?
Yes.
Where is the father of your 2 children?
My 14-year-old's father lives in Mira Mesa.
How much child support does he pay?
He pays $335 a month.
Father of your other child?
He lives in Colorado, and he pays $300 a month.
Okay, let's get to the rent. When did you move out, sir?
I moved out December 1st.
What precipitated your moving out?
The tensions had increased over finances, and basically she told me to get out of her house in no uncertain terms.
Is that right, Miss Rushworth?
Minus a few details is correct.
So you told him to leave?
That was because he threw water at me. He threw a glass of water at me, and then after that...
So was what you're telling me, you want the rent on this house from December when he left until the end of the lease in May?
Yes.
You're not going to get it. You were living there with your 2 children, so that you were 3 people, he's 1 person, and yet from the time he moved in, he paid half the bills. So, quite honestly, I don't know what you're doing here with regard to the rent.
That's exactly why we're here, because the 2 of us couldn't decide on the rent and how it should be handled. As far as the other remaining portion of it, the monthly bills that we had, household bills that we had in effect at the time he left, is all I'm asking for him to pay his share of. The SDG&E, the trash, the water, the cable.
Well, how much does that come to?
When you take off the rent, it's about $1,000.
And when he gave you money prior to your having difficulty, did he give you money by check or cash for these bills?
He would give me cash depending on the amount of his check, but for the 3 months prior to this event occurring, he was having his wages garnished by the IRS, so they would take $1,200 of his check. If he only had $300 or $400 out of the check, he might give me $100 of it.
That's what happens when you play house.
Sure, that's exactly, and that's what I mean by sometimes it was more.
Then I've just resolved the issue for you, madam.
The items that he's saying he's paid.
I've just resolved the issue for you, madam. It's over. It's over. You played house for a while. It didn't work out. He does not strike me as a deadbeat. What he did was say to you, I am in effect assisting and supporting your children.
He also would work from home.
So what difference does that make?
Which facilitates...
No. Shh.
Yes, Your Honor.
That doesn't make any difference. Mr. Rushworth. If he worked out of your home, that means he worked out of the home that he had before you, I assume.
Which was with me. For 6 years, we lived together.
So why are you telling me, madam, that this was a relatively recent thing?
Clay and I moved in together in September of 1999. After 2 years of living there, he left on a moment's notice. I was evicted. We got back together. He never once made up for it. He moved in with me at the apartment when I was living there because he was evicted from his place.
He didn't move in with you, madam.
I let him move in with me.
Listen.
He's been...
Miss Rushworth.
Yes.
It's over.
Yes.
The rent is over. The gas bill is over. I'm not interested in the rent and the gas bill. I'm interested in the final part of your claim, which is that he filed false allegations against you, which required you to defend a protective order.
The allegations he filed, I did not say were false. I just said he filed allegations and then didn't bother to show up at the hearing.
He's allowed to do that.
I felt
He's
just arbitrarily not show up after I'm required to attend the hearing?
Absolutely. Very often people say, listen, the allegations are true, but we had a long-term relationship. All I wanted to do was stop harassing me. So I'm going to file this. I'm going to give her a wake-up call. Wake up. It's over. Don't call me anymore.
He only did that at the instance of his girlfriend. His girlfriend is the one who instigated it because the restraining order was restraining me from contacting her.
And he's filed one for every girlfriend he's had over the last 12 years.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, but she's leaving a lot out.
Just a second. She's not leaving anything out that I require.
Okay.
So, Miss Rushworth, he's moved on. What you're annoyed about is that he moved on before you were finished with each other.
No. I'm actually more annoyed at the fact that he's, slept with my best friend. Now they're having a baby. And now they're doing all kinds of stuff. So there's a whole lot of other
issues. I tried to say that more delicately, that he moved on with his life.
Point, that's exactly where it comes to, and I appreciate you pointing that out.
I'm just saying that it's a little more, I would try to say a little more delicately than you did. He moved on with his life before you were finished with your life together. And that was aggravating. You had a 6-year relationship, not just a year relationship. And I can imagine that you are really angry. Time to say, period.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
May I?
And I say the same. Period.
Your Honor. May I give him the remaining documents that I had at the house that he doesn't have?
You give them to Bird.
Great.
Bird will take care of it. Thank you.
Why is that excused? Let's step out.
Hey. He still doesn't care. He still isn't sorry. He doesn't have any change in his behavior, and he doesn't feel he owes the money.
She has a great perspective as far as when it is over. It is over. It's time to move on.
He was cheating on me and having an affair, and then he decided to leave, move in with her, and have a baby.
She is having the same kind of trouble with her husband at the time. Neither one of us had any intimacy until long after we were out of the house.
I was tired of the abuse. I was tired of being, yelled at and called names and stuff. And, he threw water at me, and I called the police.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Escobedo versus Dodd, step forward, please.
Administrative assistant Lisa Escobedo is suing her former friend, social worker Mary Dodd, for loans to buy a truck and to hire an attorney. Mary claims she paid Lisa back.
Miss Escobedo, you and Miss Dodd used to be very good friends.
Yes,
your lawsuit has 2 parts to it. First, you say that you took out a loan for a truck. That was her truck.
Correct.
She didn't have good credit. The arrangement was she would make the payments faithfully, and as soon as the payments were completed, the title, etc., would be turned over to her. And that was a couple of years ago.
Yes.
She did make the payments faithfully until just recently.
Correct.
And then she stopped making payments on the truck. You repossessed the truck, and now you want her to pay what is the balance owed on the truck.
Not entirely, because it's $12,000. And it's only small claims court, but actually that's the debt that I was left with, absolutely.
The second part of your lawsuit claims a loan to her for an attorney.
Correct.
And Ms. Dodd says with regard to that part of the loan, she does acknowledge that there was a loan. Yes. And she said that she faithfully paid you, I think, $100 a month.
Yeah, $100.
Which I assume you're going to be able to demonstrate to me.
Yes, Your Honor, I have checks.
And that the loan is paid off.
Yes.
So let's deal with the easy part first. Let's deal with the loan for an attorney. When did you make that loan?
April 2nd of 2003.
And how much was that loan?
$1,195.64.
Okay, so I want to see from you checks in the amount of $1,195.64 for the attorney.
There was actually one check that wasn't faxed to me from the bank.
Are these in order?
You know what? I think I did put them in order, but I think there's one or two missing in that pile.
Well, there are several months missing. You have $1,000 in payments.
That's pretty accurate as to what I thought I'd owed her, being that I stopped paying. The last payment was in August, and I thought we were done at that time, and nothing is said until I get served this that I still owe her. And several months goes by, and she hasn't.
Well, let me ask you this question, Ms. Dodd. Let's say on the attorney's fees alone, you owe a couple of $100s.
Okay.
All right? Now, let's deal with the truck. What was the total purchase price of the truck?
I don't know the exact amount. I know what's owed.
How much was the truck?
It was approximately almost $10,000.
And how much is the loan?
Your Honor, I'm just telling you, I just paid $5,000 on it, and there's still $7,000 owed. So it was not $10,000 when she bought it.
That was the purchase price, but with the interest, it makes the price. It doesn't seem like it ever goes down.
Well, why are you sticking her with that obligation?
It's not that I'm sticking her with that
Yes,
obligation.
you are. You are.
Back in November, when I was released from work, I made the payment in November faithfully with what was my final check. In December, well, I had found out I was pregnant and taken off permanently for work, and then I decided to go on disability. I tried to make
Did you buy another vehicle?
We purchased another vehicle.
Who's we?
My husband and I.
Well, but
that was done.
Just a second. How could you purchase another vehicle?
That was done before all of this even happened.
You're paying on another vehicle unless you
That was my responsibility. Yes, it was. I paid on that vehicle. We purchased another vehicle because my husband has a job, and he purchased another vehicle prior to all of this happening.
Miss Dodd, that's not fair. You assumed another responsibility, you and your husband, knowing that you had a prior responsibility to her to pay for this older truck. What year vehicle did you purchase?
2004 Excursion.
So you purchased a brand new car. And what were your payments on the brand new car?
His payments.
What are the payments?
His payments are $673.
What do you mean his payments? You don't live together?
Yeah, we live together. But
all right, $673. And what were your payments on this car?
$366. But I had no intention to give up the white truck. I intended to keep it, hopefully give it to my son when he finished high school. There was no intention to just say, here, I bought a new truck, I'm giving you this one back. That's not what I was going to do.
What did she say to you?
She called me the day they purchased the truck and told me she needed the account number or my social security number because they were going to trade the truck in. Then the next day she called me and said that they bought the truck anyways.
Just a second, they were going to trade the truck in.
Correct, but and then the next day she said they didn't trade it in. They purchased the truck, the Excursion, but they didn't trade it in because they only wanted to give her $4,000 on a trade-in because it's a hunk of junk now, and so they didn't want it, and they were still $12,000 owed. So they went and bought the truck anyways. Now they had, and when I asked her what she was going to do with the truck, the white truck, she said we're going to have to make the payments on both. We don't have a choice.
Did she make payments on both the next month?
No.
I made the payment in November for that truck, and I paid the registration on that truck with the intent to keep the truck. Yeah, I did want to try to see if I could trade it in because I have a little car at home. But when they said no, well, I wanted to get her name off of everything entitled with me.
Well, why didn't you do that?
They wouldn't give me what the truck was worth, and I thought, okay, I'll keep it. Why not? That's what my intention was.
So?
So I did. And I made the payment faithfully in November. I paid the registration on it.
What happened in December?
I found out at the end of November that I was not going to be returning to work, and I had no income to pay. And I even attempted to sell it, and she wouldn't let me. She said she just couldn't do that right now because it was going to be taken over by a family member she knows that's very responsible. And he would put it in his name, but to give him a couple weeks, and so she didn't. I understand that. That was fine. I don't have a problem.
You're making a whole lot of double talk from you. Bottom line is, you didn't pay it. It's not her fault you got pregnant. It's not her fault you went on disability. It's not her fault that you and your husband decided to buy a more expensive new truck. It's not her fault. It's your fault. Stop making all of these sounds which suggests that somebody held you down when you became pregnant, that somebody held your hand to a piece of paper or his hand to a piece of paper when you bought a brand new Excursion truck. It's not somebody else's responsibility. It's yours.
My intentions were to keep the truck.
You could keep it, but you didn't pay for it in December.
Well, that's when everything took a turn. I was intending.
Just a second. What kind of turn?
I was intending to go back to work. In the end of January, I lost my baby, and a week later, I lost my mother. I wasn't ready to go back to work.
Is that just a second? Is it her fault you lost your baby?
No, it's not.
Is it her fault you lost your mother?
Not, but I can't.
Then why didn't you pay for the truck? Did you pay for the excursion?
He pays for his excursion.
You do live together, don't you?
Yeah, but he is entitled to own a vehicle as well.
She don't want to be a friend anymore.
Exactly.
It's a very good thing
exactly
because she lacks reasonable moral fiber.
You're absolutely right, Your Honor.
She lacks a sense of duty and responsibility and what's right and what's wrong. Get out your address book. Erase her name.
Please do.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. That's all.
It's kind of upsetting, but Judge Judy's right. We don't need to be friends because somebody who sleeps with everybody's friends and the boss's boyfriend is not the kind of person I want to socialize with.
I helped her out, and then when it wasn't convenient and suitable to her, that was, she no longer needed me anymore.
We were friends, but I put up with a friend that is just really dirty and evil and has a black heart.
When I did the things for her that I did them out of the goodness of my heart and out of faith and friendship, so I wouldn't take that back. But I learned a lesson that I wouldn't do it again.
Miss Escobedo has a tendency to not allow people to be happy. And when people are happy, it irritates her.
It's better off done. I mean, she's proved that, by not being a friend.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Karras versus Tierlink step forward.
Retail manager Karen Karras is suing her ex-boyfriend, construction salesman Steve Tierlink, for unpaid rent and for money she loaned him to feed his children. Steve says Karen is crazy.
Ms. Karras, you briefly had a relationship, according to what I read, with Mr. Tierlink. And you claim that he stayed in your house for 2 weeks, for which he owes you expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in addition, you say he owes you some money for a small loan that you gave him.
Yes.
Mr. Tierlink says, I'm paraphrasing, you're a nut.
You hit it.
You may be right. Why did he move into your house?
He was evicted from his apartment.
You invited him to come?
He called me and told me that he was in a lot of trouble and pretty much showed up at my house in tears with his 2 little children.
So you said, come on in.
What else could I do?
Good. Did they have a spare room for them?
No.
Where did he sleep?
On the floor.
Where did his children sleep?
On the floor.
And after 2 weeks, he left?
Yes.
Now, how much did he say he would pay you for the 2 weeks that he stayed in your house?
He just offered to give me some money. He said that I can pay you some money, and it wasn't some specific...
So it wasn't a firm contract?
Exactly.
Perfect. Then you get no money. Now, let's move on to what this loan was. You want to tell me about it?
He said that he needed some money. He said that he didn't have any food for his children, and
so
I gave him some money because I was afraid that he wasn't going to be able to feed his children.
Good. How much did you give him?
$50.
That was nice of you.
It was a loan.
Well, you said it was a loan. That's not what you just told me. You said you were afraid he wouldn't have money to take care of his children. He
asked me to borrow the money, and I agreed that I would lend him the money, and he agreed that he would pay me back.
Tell me about the conversation.
Well, he said that he needed some money, and I said that I would agree to lend him the money, and when I agree to lend someone the money, then I expect them to pay me back, and he did agree to pay me back. So
did she give you $50, sir?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you give it back to her?
Not in that way.
What did you do?
I took her out for dinner, drinks, lunch.
You did?
Yes.
When?
Shortly after I stayed at her location, which wasn't 2 weeks. I was only there for 3 or 4 days.
I dismissed that part of this lawsuit.
Okay.
I was interested, Mr. Tierlink, because you indicated in your answer that the plaintiff has tried to sue you before for something.
Yes, she has, Your Honor, and I have paperwork here.
Can I see the paperwork for the prior lawsuit?
It was a loan for a futon, which was, the case was dismissed. I paid her back. That has the receipts and everything right there.
You sued him for this $50 already.
But when he paid me exactly for the futon, he did not pay for any of the other things.
That doesn't make any difference, madam. Your lawsuit that was dismissed sought as a claim a $50 personal loan, as well as the balance on a futon.
Right, and there was also a $200 loan as well. That's not even indicated there.
Let me explain something to you. You have a responsibility, unless you want to abuse the legal system, to include everything in a lawsuit. You can't sue him for $50 on Monday, futon on Tuesday, $250 on Wednesday, because that suggests to me that he's right when he says that you're a nut. So I think that you have to put a period. He's not interested. He doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. He's moving on with his life. Kiss him goodbye, figuratively, and kiss me goodbye, figuratively. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused.
much.
Step out.
Well, I didn't get to explain my Halloween lights here.
My main purpose here today was to make sure that he showed some appreciation.
They were actually cut off of my home.
Completely untrue. It's just another one of his blatant lies.
She wants to still keep seeing me. I think it was all frivolous little lies, emails.
My emails and voicemails and notes said, I never want to see you again.
The last thing was a brick tied around a note.
That was when he owed me the money and he was refusing to pay me the money.
It's a case of fatal attraction.
19-year-old customer service rep David Gonzalez is suing 27-year-old merchandising manager Heath Stoddard for vandalizing his car. Heath claims David sexually assaulted his friend, Amanda.
Now, this is case number 43 on the calendar in the matter of Gonzalez versus Stoddard. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Gonzalez, it is your claim that Mr. Stoddard vandalized your car and threw a bottle at it, and you want him to pay some $4,000 in damage. And I gather from reading all of these papers that there was an incident involving a girlfriend of yours. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is this the girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we're going to start with her. Step up, please. Tell me your name.
Amanda. Amanda.
All right. Amanda, you have a last name.
Payne, P.
On what night did you allegedly have trouble with Mr. Gonzalez and his friends?
The night of the incident.
Well, what date was that?
I'm not sure.
What date was that?
August 26, 2004.
All right, now I want you to tell me your version of what happened that night.
I was outside talking to Sam over here, and I was going to go back into the apartment, and him and his friend stopped me, and they took me over to the pool.
He and his friend. Did you know them before that evening?
I had met them, yes.
So you were acquaintances?
Right.
And you say he and his friend stopped you. How did they stop you?
They took me by my arms. They grabbed me by my arms just like that.
Yes.
And they took me over by the pool area, and they were touching me and feeling me.
Tell me what they said to you when they grabbed you by the arm. Tell me what...
They had been drinking, so they were just slurring and just making rude comments to me, saying, you're going to come over here, and, you know, we're going to do this and that. And I had hollered for Sam. And
okay, so they grabbed you and pulled you over to the pool area?
Yeah, we were walking over by there.
Well, as you were walking over to the pool area, were you calling for help?
Yes, I called for Sam, and they...
As you were walking over to the pool area?
Yes.
Before anything happened to you, were you calling for anybody?
No, because they had just took me by my arms, and they were just walking me over there fast.
Well, did you say I don't want to go with you? I don't understand that.
I did.
Amanda. Okay, let's keep going. So they walked you over to the pool area. Go ahead.
They had me picked up, and they were smacking my butt and just touching me, like I said.
And you were calling for Sam?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And they had told me to shut up, and they called me a B word.
Go ahead.
And then that's when Obed came over.
That's this person over here, yeah?
Yes, and he came over, and he'd been drinking, and I said, Obed, do something. And he said, what? Like nothing was going on.
Yeah.
And then he left. And then I managed to get myself away from them, and I ran back over to Sam and told Sam about it.
Sam. Up. Sam, you have a last name.
Dyer.
What did Amanda tell you, Mr. Dyer, when she came over to you?
Well,
I want you to think very carefully of the exact words she used.
She was crying, and at first I couldn't get her to tell me. It was hard to find out what was going on. She started to tell me that these men had tried to grab her, touch her, and she used the word rape. At the same time that she had told me that, I saw the two walk past me to the car, get in the car.
And this gentleman was one of them?
Yes.
Okay, so they walked past you and they got into the car.
And then I went to the car to ask them if they were leaving. And they said, yes, but we'll be right back. We're going to the store. I went in to get my buddy, Heath, right here, to tell him what had happened. And I was angry. I can say that for myself. I was angry. I don't like to see... She was hysterical, very upset. And I told him what was going on.
You told Heath?
Heath. He was getting ready for work at the time. You know, I was excited. I was like, you know, I was kind of jazzed now, and I'm telling him, these guys are coming right back. This is what happened.
Okay, so they left. They did leave.
They had left, and they returned.
Do they live there in this apartment complex?
Obed.
He does?
Does live there, yes.
He does. So that they came back because they said they were going to?
Yes.
Okay. Strange behavior for people who were trying to rape somebody, to leave and come back. But go ahead.
Okay. I didn't actually see this, but I heard a glass shatter. That's when Heath later had told me that was a beer bottle that hit the window.
That he threw at the window?
Yes.
Go ahead.
The passenger then, he's not here right now, but the passenger jumped out, throwing his hands up, ready to fight.
Because somebody had thrown a bottle.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
There were 3 of them, one of Heath. Heath was approaching the car. As he was approaching the car, I went around the passenger side and engaged in a scuffle with the guy who had jumped out. I was ready, telling him to take a swing, which he did try to take a swing. I ended up taking him to the ground. He started to pull away from me. Heath was right there. They started fighting. I started to separate the two, the guy that is not here, Heath, and that other guy. And that's really all that I saw.
You've been most helpful.
Thank you.
Don't sit down.
Okay.
Mr. Gonzalez, had you been drinking that night?
We had been drinking. We weren't drunk.
Had you been drinking that night?
No.
Had you been?
Yes.
What had you been drinking?
Beer.
And you?
No, ma'am.
Fine. So you were drinking?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was driving?
I was driving. I only had 1 beer. I wasn't drunk at all.
Who else were you with?
I was with my other friend and my cousin Obed.
Do you know Amanda Payne?
I do. I met her.
You want to tell me what happened that night?
Yes, ma'am, I do. That night, my cousin Obed had called me, and he said, hey, Miss Payne wanted to see me that night. I went over there with intentions of only seeing her. And
is that right, Obed?
Yes, ma'am.
Step up.
And...
Shh.
Oh, sorry.
Obed, when did Miss Payne tell you that she wanted to see your cousin?
We were outside talking, and I told her that David was in town, and she told me to call him up, so I called him up.
Is that right?
No. I never wanted to see him.
You're lying.
No, I'm not.
Oh, yeah, you are. Why? I could tell that your whole story was a little bit smelly. But about this, I know for sure you're lying, because he's telling me the truth. You caused a whole lot of trouble that night.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. David Gonzalez says he was assaulted and his car was vandalized by Heath Stoddard. Heath claims David sexually assaulted his friend.
Go ahead.
After that, what had happened was when I came outside, they were sitting over, my cousin and my friend were sitting over there with her talking, and she called my name near the pool area.
Go ahead.
She called my name to tell, she said, Obed, do something, and I said, guys, leave her alone.
What were they doing?
She was sitting on his lap while my friend was standing up talking to her.
Well, what did it appear as if they were doing?
Sitting and talking, that's what I thought they were doing.
Okay, was she crying at that point?
No, ma'am.
Was she screaming at that point?
No, ma'am.
When you came out and you said, guys, leave her alone, did she get up?
Yes, she did. She got up and so did they, and I took them to the store to put gas in her car.
And then you came back?
Yes, ma'am, because they dropped me off. They had to go back to where they lived.
Do you know Heath?
Yes, ma'am, I do. He lives right across the breezeway from me.
You think Heath knew that she had said, why don't you call David and have him come over?
No, ma'am, because he came and asked me earlier on after the incident happened. He asked me some questions, and I told him she told him that she had nobody, that she was just staying with him, just to live there. She didn't say that she was dating him.
According to you, Amanda, this was a pretty terrible experience. Is that right?
Yes.
When did you contact the police, and can I see the police report?
The cops were called while the fight was occurring.
Can I see the report, please? Who called the police?
I'm not sure.
There was a lady that lived upstairs, and she called the cops.
Is that the only police report you had? This has nothing to do with the assault.
That is the assault.
No, this is what you allege happened to you. What happened to the assault on these guys?
I couldn't get access to it. I tried.
Did you file one?
Yes, I did.
When?
On that night as well, August 26th.
Now, what happened with these allegations, Miss Payne?
We went to court several times in Bethany, and at every hearing that we had, it got continued, and then finally they dismissed it and told me to go file in Oklahoma County because they didn't want to deal with it anymore. They thought it was a more serious matter.
Were you ever arrested?
No, ma'am, I was not.
There was never an arrest with regard to your allegations of sex abuse, madam.
I never went back and filed.
Why?
Because they had made a police report on Heath, and I didn't want them to go forward with pursuing Heath because I didn't think he was in the wrong, and I was tired of going through it.
When did they make the police report against Heath?
The same night.
First?
No.
You know that I don't believe you when you say that you didn't tell him to call David to come over?
You might not believe me, but I didn't.
Because you knew these two young men. There were other people around in the complex that night. If somebody grabbed you by the arm to walk you over to the pool area, all you had to do was scream and say, let go, help me, somebody help me, which you didn't do. Which you didn't do, because they would have heard you.
There were two guys. There were two of them.
They were not armed, madam. You knew who they were. All you had to do was scream, somebody help me. You didn't do that.
I hollered for Sam.
Let me see the damage to your car, please.
You want to see the estimates as well?
Yep. I'm going to get back to you in a second, Sam. Sometimes things are not as they appear. Now, you had options. Your option was, instead of going out there and starting trouble, you go into the house and you call 911 and you report an alleged attempted rape and you wait for the police, right?
Could have done that.
Is that the right thing to do?
That is the right thing to do.
Would you say that if I am correct, that Amanda over here asked Obed to call his cousin David, and she wouldn't want to say that now because things got out of hand that night, right? Right? Things got out of hand with you and with Heath that night, right? But if I am correct that she wanted David to come over just to talk, you would have been wrong to get involved with this, to confront and assault him, right?
If
the passenger in the car?
If she hadn't.
I'm saying to you, if I am correct.
If you are correct. I see what you're saying, yes.
How old are you?
30.
I'm older. What kind of work do you do?
At the time, I was a detention officer for a juvenile detention center.
And now?
Now I manage group homes for people with developmental disabilities.
Well, my job for the last 30 years or so has been to figure out who was telling the truth and who's telling a lie. That's my job.
Right.
So I have more experience than you do. So you have to rely on me when I say to you, she asked Obed to call his cousin. Now, if you knew that then, would you have confronted the passenger in the car?
Not in that case.
Right. Okay. Boy, if I were one of two guys that attempted to rape somebody, I wouldn't go put gas in my car and come back to the same place. That just doesn't sound right. Once I got in my car, I would leave and not come back. Say, boy, hope this blows over. Wouldn't you?
They may have thought nothing was going to happen.
Maybe they thought nothing was going to happen because nothing happened. That's a possibility, isn't it?
That is a possibility.
I know that Heath would like to believe everything that she says. It's not true. And what you two gentlemen should have done was to pick up the phone and call the police so that in the event that something did happen to this young lady, the police would have dealt with it. They weren't going anywhere. They had just come back. What kind of car do you have, sir?
1995 Mazda 626.
The estimate that you have probably is worth more than the car is worth. There's a lot of damage to the car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We were about to leave home, and then the cops come over and they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, here's his papers, sexual assault and battery. I was like, what?
She just speculated and made her own ruling, and, you know, she didn't even ask me what happened, you know, my side or anything.
Basically, she ran the game on everybody.
They're lying. They wanted the money, and that's what they're getting.
Her story was whack. Everything she said was whack. All three of them were whack, and that's what they get.
I just feel really bad for Amanda.
It escalated to fighting and beer bottles hitting windows.
I saw red. I was ready to take someone down.
Thanks, Judge Judy. You rock.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fitzgerald versus Whitney. Step forward, please.
23-year-old homemaker Kimberly Fitzgerald is suing her deceased father's fiancée, Leslie Whitney, for the return of her father's belongings. Kimberly says Leslie is a scammer.
Miss Fitzgerald, Miss Whitney and your father were together at the time that he died, and he died suddenly. He was a young man. He had a heart attack. And you want some property that you say belonged to your father. You're one of two children. You say your brother doesn't want anything of your father's. You do. He died without a will. And according to you, Miss Whitney won't let you have his belongings. Right? When did your father have a heart attack? Do you know the date?
September 9th, 2004.
And prior to September 9th, when had you seen him?
I saw him about 3 days earlier.
Where?
He stopped by my house to see my son. Well, and me.
Prior to September the 6th, when your father came to see your son, when had you previously seen him?
The 4th of July.
How old was your father?
57.
Miss Whitney, how long had you and Vincent been together?
Over a year we were together, but we did not live together until June of last year.
He had another girlfriend in March.
Shh. You moved into his house?
Yes.
Where was he when he passed away?
He was on the road. He was a truck driver.
According to what I read, Vincent took out a life insurance policy with you as the beneficiary. Is
Yes.
that right? When did he do that?
In August.
Were you planning to get married?
Yes, we were going to be married September 17th, a week after he unfortunately passed away.
People invited to the wedding?
Yes.
Including his daughter?
No.
Why not?
He said that he didn't want, there wasn't a close-knit family. That's what he had told me. I had never met her. And he offered to, when he wanted to go see his grandchild and stuff, but it was like an in and out thing. He never really talked about his children.
How much was the life insurance policy that he took out in August?
$20,000.
But he named you as the beneficiary?
Yes.
Is there any other life insurance policy for any of his children?
No, there was not.
Do you have any bank accounts?
Yes, he did, but one was overdrawn, and the other one only had about $50 in it.
Now, I gather the day after your father died, you and your mother went to his apartment.
Yes. I didn't even know about her.
And how did you get into his apartment?
I was sitting outside. I didn't go into the apartment until Leslie came home.
How did your mother get into the apartment?
I don't know.
How did they get into the apartment?
They climbed through the kitchen window. It was a basement apartment. The windows were level with the ground. And I was on my way back from the hospital, and I came home, and she was outside with the baby, and the mother was in the bedroom.
What was your mother doing there?
She told me to wait outside. We had gone to my father's house to get his suit so that he could be buried. We were making preparations for his wake. And there was other paperwork and stuff that I needed. Since I am the administrator of my father's estate, I needed to get paperwork to straighten
Well, you
things
weren't
out.
the administrator of his estate at that time because he died without a will.
No, at that time
So
I
you
was
had
not.
you had to petition the court for letters of administration.
Yes.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
Now, according to Miss Whitney, she ultimately allowed you to come in and take certain property from the apartment.
Yes.
Okay. Now you're going to tell me what it is that you want.
We just want...
Who's we?
Well, okay, I just want the value of the property that was missing that Leslie told me I could have.
What do you want? Not the value. What do you want?
The kitchen table, the computer, the camera with the printer.
Kitchen table?
No, there's no kitchen table.
There's no kitchen table.
I moved
What else?
into the house myself.
What year?
Beginning of end of 2003.
Get over it. What else?
The computer. There was a brand new computer.
Where's the computer?
There was no computer. There was no computer. There's no kitchen table.
Okay. You have no idea where the computer is?
No, I don't.
What's next?
The digital camera.
Digital camera.
No, I don't. He had that. He used to carry that with him in his truck. And I didn't
What's
go
next?
to the truck.
The printer that went with the digital camera.
Miss Fitzgerald, get over it. From what I gather, based upon the fact that your father had taken out a life insurance policy and instead of naming his two children as beneficiaries, he named this lady as a beneficiary of his insurance policy, you did not enjoy with your father the kind of relationship that was warm, continuous, and loving. Is that a fair statement? Realized that she was living there and that they were living together. They planned to be married. They clearly were in a monogamous, intimate relationship because the life insurance policy was taken out in August. You got a lot of your father's property. Nothing there, as far as I'm concerned, are memento things that you're asking for. You don't want to hang the kitchen table on your charm bracelet or the camcorder or anything else.
No, but there was family pictures.
If you said to me he had a watch that I would like to be able to give to my child one day because we were very close, or he had a ring that was a family heirloom or something that was very close to him. You want a kitchen table, a computer, a camera, and a printer.
And pictures.
Should have taken pictures. What pictures?
I didn't have access to them.
You went into the house 3 times. You didn't even mention the pictures, Miss Fitzgerald, when you said you wanted the value of these things or the things. You didn't even mention pictures. I think you have to have something to occupy your time more than what you have. Because this is nonsense. Get over it. Get a life.
That's all. Funeral.
Bye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They were not a close enough family. I never met his daughter because he wasn't even associating with his daughter.
If all she wanted was his money, she got it.
I was going to marry him. It's not just her lot. She's making it all about her. That's not the case.
She says they were going to get married. I have no proof of that.
She's jealous that I'm getting a life insurance policy and she's not.
She doesn't have the decency to show up at his funeral or his wake or anything.
I was not invited to the funeral, by the way. They kept that hidden secret.
She walks away with $20,000 and I'm left stuck paying for his funeral.
I don't know whether to cry or I mean, it's ridiculous.
23-year-old warehouse worker Monique Goodwin is suing her former landlord, apartment manager Linda Kyle, for medical bills, a security deposit, and pain and suffering. Monique says, due to Linda's negligence, she almost died.
Yeah, this is case number 489 on the calendar in the matter of Goodman versus Kyle. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Goodwin, Miss Kyle was the resident manager in the apartment complex where you used to live.
Correct.
And you're suing her for thousands of dollars because you say she ignored a medical condition that you had, placing your life at risk both yours and your daughter's.
Correct.
And you want your pain and suffering that she caused you, some medical bills. In addition, you want a security deposit of $1,000 that she hadn't returned to you.
Correct.
And Miss Kyle says she owes you absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, you lived there the last month without paying rent, and that's what your security deposit went for. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now let's get to the medical condition first, because I find that quite interesting. I gather there is a gate.
Correct.
In your former complex where you lived. And that when you moved in, you were told that in order to get in and out of the gate, you needed a clicker, like a remote. And it was $25.
Yeah, but at the time, I did not own a...
Don't get ahead of me, please. Okay. I'll let you fill in the blanks. Okay. I'm sort of setting this out so that Bert doesn't get bored.
Okay.
So you opted not to get a clicker because you didn't have a car.
No, I had a remote control, but it wasn't one that I purchased from her. At the time, I did not own a car, so there was no reason for me to have a remote control to the gate. But the only reason why I got
it... listen to me. You didn't buy a remote control from her for $25.
Correct.
When did you move in?
I moved in April.
April of what
2004.
Year? All right. And you lived there with your daughter?
My daughter and my son.
Then, in October of 2004, your daughter had a seizure.
Correct.
And paramedics came, and fire department, and everybody else, and they can get in to the complex, but because you didn't have a clicker, they couldn't get out. At least the ambulance couldn't get out. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Correct.
So you were angry because your daughter was stuck in the ambulance or whatever, and you went to her the next day, I assume, and said what? And said what?
I was very upset. I approached Miss Linda Kyle and informed her that around 4 o'clock that morning, the paramedics came and picked up my daughter because she had a seizure, and the fire truck came and opened up the gate. After the fire truck left, then the paramedics were there. When the paramedics got ready to leave out of the gate, there was no way for them to, when they went around the apartments was only one.
Goodwin, we're not creating a novel here. This is a novella, small. The ambulance couldn't get out.
No, they couldn't.
So you went and complained the next day?
Yes, I did.
And what did Miss Kyle say to you?
She did nothing.
Your daughter suffers from seizures?
That was the first seizure that I've ever had my daughter have.
Well, after you had that first experience, you know what I would have done?
No.
I would have bought a clicker.
Okay.
You chose not to do that. And then, a month later, you had an asthma attack.
Correct.
And you still didn't have a clicker.
Exactly, but that has nothing to do with the paramedics. The paramedics should be able to get out of that gate at all times. The only one that has a code is the fire truck. Once the fire truck leaves, there's nothing that the paramedics can do. The night that I had that asthma attack, there was no way for them. They saved my life. I was hospitalized for 3 days because of that. And the first time, she did nothing.
What I don't understand is why you didn't buy a clicker.
Why didn't? Because I didn't have a car. There was no need for me. After someone stole it inside the apartment.
Listen to me. There was a need because a month before your daughter had a serious incident, according to you. And had you had a clicker at that point, you would have gone out in the ambulance with your daughter, gone like this, and the gate would have gone up.
Well, at the time, when a 2-year-old is sitting there having a seizure, that remote control does not mean anything to me. That is my 2-year-old daughter. That's the only daughter that I have. That remote control,
I want to tell you something. You're not making sense to me. You're not making sense to me.
The remote control, okay, the remote control is a big thing to me, okay? It is. But when it comes to the fire truck and the paramedics, that has nothing to do with me having a remote control to the gate. That has nothing to do with it at all, period. I could have lost my life in that paramedics. That's why I'm so upset.
Listen to me, madam. What I don't understand is your daughter had a seizure in October. The paramedics had a problem getting out of your gate. Now you know that your daughter is subject to seizures. I would have said to myself, I have a 2-year-old child. I'm not going to be put in a situation where this can ever happen to me again. Here's $25. Give me a clicker. I'm going to keep it in my house in case I ever have that kind of problem again. That's the way you protect your child. Why would you blame that on somebody else?
Well, it's a lot when it comes to Miss Linda.
We're not talking about Miss Linda. I'm talking about you being a responsible parent.
Yes.
You now have a child that you know is subject to seizures, who may in the future have that kind of an emergency. And just as you would go and get the medicine for your child that the doctor gave you, you would want to ensure that if an ambulance had to be called again, you would be able to get the ambulance in and out. I mean, if you disapprove of the way this apartment complex is run, you have a choice. You can move. Correct. That's your choice. But to stay there after your 2-year-old has had a seizure without the ability to get her out in case of an emergency is very, very irresponsible.
Well, I thought she was going to fix the problem after I approached her with it.
What made you think that?
Because she's the manager of the apartments. And
no, what did she say to you that led you to believe that she was going to fix it?
She told me they had a code to the gate. They don't have a code to that gate because we sat out there for 30 minutes. When I had my asthma attack, they went knocking on people's door at 4 o'clock in the morning to get me
Just
out.
a second. Let me ask you a question. They were knocking on people's doors, the paramedics?
Correct.
What did they want when they were knocking on people's doors?
They wanted to get out of the gate.
They wanted a
remote control to get out of the gate.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Quinn says she nearly died from an asthma attack because paramedics couldn't open the security gate to her apartment. Manager Linda Kyle says Monique never purchased a remote control.
Now, after your incident in November, at some point you were served with an eviction notice. You want to tell me why you served her with an eviction notice?
The eviction notice that Ms. Goodwin was served with had nothing to do with the gate. It was due to a nuisance matter where her and her sister was fighting all outside.
You have a complaint?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? Who witnessed this?
Actually, it was 3 or 4 apartments in the complex that called and reported that there was a big scene.
Did you have surround sound in your apartment?
No, I do not own surround sound.
Your Honor, she told me she owned surround sound.
When did she tell you that?
When I asked her to turn her music down.
What did she say?
She said that she didn't feel that she should have to get rid of her surround sound, that she had a right as long as she paid her rent and her apartment to play her music whenever she felt like it.
Which is a lie.
Okay, so you were served with this 3-day notice to quit on December the 1st.
No, I wasn't.
When were you served?
I was given this notice to quit on December the 3rd. I tried to give her my rent on the 1st of December. She looked at me with a big smile on her face while me and my mom was in her office and told me that she was not going to accept my rent.
Okay. So she said, I'm not going to accept your rent on December 1st. You were given a notice to vacate the apartment. When did you, in fact, leave the apartment?
We went to court on January the 5th. I didn't leave until January the 22nd.
What was your rent?
My rent was $625.
Did you pay rent for December?
I tried.
Don't tell me tried.
No, I...
Did you pay rent for December? Did you live there in December?
Yes, I did.
Did you pay rent in January?
No, I did not.
Did you live there in January?
Yes, I did. I tried to give her my rent. She did not want it.
No, she wanted you out. The only issue is whether, when you moved out, you owed any money. You lived there for 2 months. You didn't pay rent for 2 months. I'm not here to determine whether or not the underlying case of the eviction was right or wrong. That's been resolved by the housing court. I'm here because you want your security deposit back, and what I'm saying to you is you expected to live there for December and January and not have... I'm speaking. And not pay rent?
I'm going to get mad.
Are you living someplace now that you like?
Yes. Me and my kids are very happy.
Good. That's what I think should happen. I think that you and your children should find a place to live where you're very happy. Does it have a gate?
Yes, it does. And as a matter of fact, the people can get in and out of the gate.
Perfect. Then you're in a place where you're happy.
But the problem...
Listen to me. You're in a place where you're happy. All right. Now, you were given an opportunity to get a remote control for the gate. You chose not to get one. Even after your daughter had a seizure, you chose not to get one.
What does that have to do with the paramedics? I don't understand that.
Miss Goodwin, listen, there are no free rides.
Yeah, but this is the receipt that I try to give her my rent money. But she would not take it from me.
You just paid it with your security deposit. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Me and my daughter could have lost our lives while we were in that paramedics.
Well, I think Judge Judy got a chance to see through Miss Monique.
This lady is a very good liar, and she lies all the time.
She's young. This is her first apartment.
She's just and I hate her, and I'm going to keep hating her.
She's a little hard-headed. You can't make her understand.
She's just like, ugh.
Pray for patience.
Amy Jimenez is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old customer service rep Ronnie Brooks, for damages due to an assault. Amy claims Ronnie kicked her car and then broke her cell phone when she tried to call 911.
Hello. It's hard to train him. Your Honor, this is case number 457 in the matter of Jimenez versus Brooks. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
My money's on you.
Okay.
Ms. Jimenez, this used to be your boyfriend. You claim he has a bad temper, and while you were in the midst of an argument, he kicked your car and then body slammed you on your car, causing damage to your car.
Yeah.
Now you're suing him for damage to the car, but not damage necessarily to your body, which causes me some pause, because to me, if somebody took me and threw me against a car, I would sue him for hurting me, but I guess your car is important. And also, you say in another fit of rage, he broke your cell phone.
Yeah.
Mr. Brooks says, well, he did in fact break the cell phone.
Yes, ma'am.
But he says with regard to the car, you were trying to run him down, and he merely tried to protect himself by trying to hold back 3,000 pounds with his foot. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did this incident happen with your car, Ms. Jimenez?
October 7th.
Where were you?
We were at my house.
How long had you been at your house?
About 3 minutes. We'd gotten into an argument right as we pulled up.
He was in your car?
He'd gotten out of the car and I was still in the car. And we'd gotten into an argument and I didn't want to get out of the car. I didn't want him to go into my house. So I told him I was going to take him home.
He was coming to your house for what?
To take a shower.
Why? He doesn't have a shower?
His shower didn't have a shower curtain. I guess he liked my shower better.
His shower didn't have a shower curtain?
Yeah.
How do you do that, sir?
Oh, we just took baths.
You just took baths in your house?
Yeah.
Why don't you buy a shower curtain?
Lazy, I guess.
How long have you lived in this house without a shower curtain?
It was like 2 months.
2 months without a shower curtain?
Yes, ma'am.
Who lives there?
Well, it was just me and my brother at the time.
Did you used to live with your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
And your father?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they have a shower curtain?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So he was coming to your house to take a shower because he got tired of taking baths at his house.
Yeah.
He probably got tired because if he didn't have a shower curtain and only took baths, I guarantee you that he didn't clean the bathtub.
That's not true.
That is true.
She's lying.
No. Anybody that doesn't have time to buy a shower curtain doesn't have time to rub-a-dub-dub scrubbing out the bathtub. Anyway, okay. So you picked him up to take him to your house to take a shower. You got into an argument in the car. He got out of the car. You didn't want to get out of the car. You wanted to drive him home.
Yeah. Somehow my roommate got involved into this argument. And he went up to the house to confront my roommate. And he assaulted my roommate. And then after that, he came back out, assaulted me, and then...
Well, tell me how he assaulted you.
He pushed me to the ground and kicked me in the leg.
What was the fight about?
That he used me.
Used you?
Yeah.
Used you for what?
Well, he didn't have a car, you know, he didn't have very much money, and I was pretty much there for him.
Okay. So he threw you down on the ground and he kicked you twice. Go ahead.
He continued to follow me around, so I went and got in my car, and he continued to yell at me while I was in my car, and then he started...
What was he yelling?
I wasn't paying attention. I was just too disturbed by what he'd just done to me. And so I just sat in my car, and he kicked the hood, and then he kicked the side panel twice. And I have pictures here of the damages that he did.
That's not true, Your Honor. This didn't happen at her house. This happened at my house.
That's not true. She was telling the truth. She picked you up from your house without a shower curtain and took you to her house that did have a shower curtain to take a shower.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go into the house and take a shower?
No, I had gotten into a fight with her roommate.
Okay, about what?
Because he said that I was using her. So I went up to the door, and I asked him if he said something, and he said he did. So he was walking away, and I kept following him. And then I hit him.
You hit him?
Yeah.
What are you, nuts?
No, ma'am.
Where did you hit him?
Well, I didn't really hit him. I kind of put... He was...
He hit him
as
in
he
the head.
Shh. She's lying.
No, look, just a minute. You just said you hit him.
Well, I pushed him in the back of his head as he was walking away. You know, kind of like that.
Not true.
Yeah, it is. And after that, we went into the backyard. We argued for a minute.
Who argued?
Me and him.
Well, I certainly would argue with you. I'd probably call the police. And then you got back into the car?
And she took me home.
So what happened when you got home?
Well, we got home. We were going to go out that night. I said I didn't want to go to the club. She wanted to go, so she got mad. She was in her brother's car at the time. She thought I stole her keys. She kept coming over there after she went home from the club. My witness is right here. Okay, she was cussing, just ran into my house, didn't knock or anything, just walked in. We're in there chilling, you know. She said, where are my keys, where are my keys? I said, I don't have your keys. She leaves and comes back, leaves and comes back. She does this like 3 times, okay? Finally, she comes back with her car. And she said, where's my keys, where are my keys? She's drunk, by the way. I said, dude, you're stupid. If I have your keys, how are you in your car? Okay, so I had to...
That's right. She said, dude, you're stupid. Is that what you said?
That's exactly what I said. So I had to physically take her out of my house to put her in the car. Okay, as I did that, she was backing up. She backed up like this, and then she went for it, like she was going to hit me. And I kicked the car. I did kick the car, but she was trying to hit me.
But she wasn't in the car when she did that.
Yeah,
That was my brother's car. That was not my car.
I had put her in the car.
You would put her in the car?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brooks, how long was Miss Jimenez your girlfriend?
2.5, 3 months, maybe.
Did you like her?
Yeah.
Why would you put her in her car if she was drunk?
Because she wouldn't get out of my house.
Weren't you concerned that maybe she would hurt herself driving around drunk in the car?
Yes, ma'am, but she does that all the time anyway. She always drives around drunk. Every time we go to the club, we're both drunk and she drives.
That makes you Dumb and Dumber. If you get into the car with somebody who's driving while they're intoxicated, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why are you so stupid?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I mean, we both drive drunk. I mean, I know how to drive when I'm drunk. I don't know.
You don't have any children or anything, do you?
Well, I do have a daughter.
Oh, I was going to suggest you not do that. Now, you want to talk to me?
Okay.
Tell me your name.
My name is Derek.
Derek, you have a last name.
Villanueva.
Villanueva.
Yes, ma'am.
Did I pronounce that well?
That's fine.
But, so if I wasn't so good at pronouncing your last name, we'll just call you Derek.
That's fine.
Derek, were you a witness to this incident that happened on October the 7th?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me where you were, Derek.
I was in Ronnie's house, sitting on the couch, playing the PlayStation.
Everybody's got a PlayStation. PlayStation he has, shower curtain he doesn't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Says her ex-boyfriend, Ronnie Brooks, owes for kicking a dent into her car and for breaking her cell phone. Ronnie says Amy was drunk on the night in question.
Right.
Well, first I heard a noise to the left, and it was a foot coming through the door. That would be her foot. So Ronnie took her to the car. Well, like he said, she tried to run over him whenever she backed up and then came forward, and that's what I had seen. I also saw them yelling at each other, but I didn't see him hit her.
He didn't hit her.
No, ma'am.
Because I read her complaint, and her complaint doesn't say he hit her.
That was because his friends were around that time.
Well, I mean,
his friends weren't around him when you filled out this complaint, madam.
Ma'am, she was also drunk, so, I mean, she doesn't even remember me.
Oh, you kicked her car.
I kicked it, yeah, but she tried to run me over.
Yeah, but you kicked it on the side.
He also slammed me on the head several times.
I made one dent on that car. He did only kick it once. I only kicked it one time.
You kicked it once?
One time.
Very good. Because these pictures were taken 2.5 months later, right?
They were. My father took those pictures because I did not have the camera at the time.
Well, that's too bad. 2.5, almost 3 months later, you don't bring pictures in of a car.
Your Honor, I filed the police report later on, like a month later. I was terrified of
A month later?
He promised me he was going to fix my car, and I was waiting for him to fix it. I went over to his house several times.
Just a second, Mr. Brooks.
Yes, ma'am.
I tend to believe the fact that you kicked her car, and I tend to believe the fact that she was drunk.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe you, because otherwise she would have filed this police report the next day if it happened the way she said it happened. She waited a month, something happened, and I don't know, we even know whether you saw each other socially during that month. Did you or did you not?
Yes, ma'am. About 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, we did.
Where did you go 2 or 3 weeks afterwards?
She always went to my house after that happened.
I have to go to his house because he doesn't have a car.
You mean after this happened, you went to his house?
His roommate lived with him, and I knew if there was other people around, he wouldn't.
Just a second. I don't care whether his roommate was there or not. You're making this up as you're going along, Miss Jimenez.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are, because if you're terrified of somebody, you don't go to their house. That's not what happens. You stay away from them, whether their roommate is there or not.
I was trying to get my car fixed, Your Honor.
Oh, please, give me a break, will you please? Tell me about how you broke her cell phone, sir.
Well, that was at her house whenever I had just got through getting to that confrontation with her roommate. She didn't want to take me home at first, and my clothes were in her car, so I just told her to open her car, and I would walk home. Okay, she didn't want to, so I just grabbed her cell phone and threw it across the parking lot.
And how much did you pay for your cell phone?
She did. She got another one free.
Did you get another one free?
Yes. That's what you told me last week.
My friend bought me another cell phone because I couldn't afford to get another cell phone.
Okay. Now, how much do you think it's going to cost to pull out the dents in this car?
For the particular part that I kicked, $400, because she had showed me the estimate. She went to my house and showed me, and I said I'd pay for that.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $480. $400 for the kick to the car and $80 for the cell phone. Stay away from each other. Stay away from him.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And, by the way, one more thing. The entire world knows that the two of you now drive drunk. So if you get behind the wheel of a car and kill somebody, it's not an accident anymore. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand me? Perfect.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My roommate told me that he thought Ronnie was using me.
He didn't have a job, and she was taking him everywhere, and I told her that he was the one that was using her.
Ronnie did use me. He's scum. He's very violent.
No more. That's over.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Eden versus Neely. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Desiree Eden is suing her father's girlfriend, EMT tech Susan Neely, for the return of payments on a Dodge Neon she repossessed. Susan is countersuing for the vehicle's unpaid balance and insurance payments.
Who are you?
I'm the dad.
Why don't you stand up, sir? Miss Eden, while this gentleman, who's your father, is not a defendant, I'm going to have him stand here because I think it's important. Miss Neely is your father's girlfriend. They live together. Is that right?
Yes.
According to what I read, a couple of years ago, you needed a car. You were living with your father and his girlfriend. And Miss Neely agreed to buy a car. You were underage, so it was in her name. And tell me what the agreement was.
The agreement was that I paid the car payments on the car as it came. I paid the $1,000 down plus the car payments on it.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
From when to when?
From November 2003 to December, or November 26th of 2004.
And you made the payments every month?
Yes.
Who paid the insurance?
I paid it when she asked for it.
The agreement was that you would make the monthly payments?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Neely, is it correct that Miss Eden made the monthly payments on the car from November of 2003 to November of 2004?
Her last payment was on November the 12th.
So the answer would be yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what happened in November of 2004?
Okay, the day after Thanksgiving, she decided that she was going to move out and move in with her boyfriend. And I told her she could not take the car because that car was in my name. It was titled in my name. And I would not let her have it because if something should happen and they go out and have a wreck and kill somebody, it comes back on me. So I told her she had to leave the car with me, and if she came with the balance owed against the car, then I would sign it over to her.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Just a second.
She did not come up with the $2,201.93 that was owed against the car, so I would not allow her to have it.
Well, wasn't your agreement. Ms. Neely, that wasn't your agreement.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Eden says her father's girlfriend, Susan Neely, illegally repossessed her car. Susan says she took the car away when Desiree moved in with her boyfriend.
When did you turn 18?
May 23rd.
Of 2004?
Of 2004.
Once she turned 18 and continued to make the payments, and you continued to accept the payments, that contract that you had with her, that verbal contract, was ratified, which meant it became a contract. That contract's terms were very simple. You make the payments until the car is paid off, I'll sign the title over to you. That was your contract.
But she's no longer making payments.
She stopped making payments because you would let her take the car.
Correct.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is an anticipatory breach, which is you said to yourself, I'm not so sure whether she's going to continue to make the payments on the car if she's not here and living with the boyfriend, so I'm not going to let her have the car. That's what you really said.
Well, our insurance company told us that.
Hey, don't tell me what your insurance company told you. The insurance company cannot interpret a contract that you had with her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, when it was told to her when we decided to get the car for her, it was also told that she would stay in school, and it depended on her grades. That way we could also use the car. If she starts slipping a little bit, we could take the car away from her.
She hadn't slipped? Sir, she just decided to move out and move in with her boyfriend.
Exactly. But after that is when she lost her job. She quit school.
I did not.
But just a second. Just a second. Mr. Eden, at the time she left, she was making the payments.
Yes.
She was in school.
Yep.
And she had a job.
Yes.
You can't anticipate what's going to happen afterwards. Mm-hmm. Where's the car now?
It is at my house.
They have it for sale for $2,500.
Car is hers.
Okay, who pays the rest of the...
She does.
Okay. Does she pay that to us or to the car dealership or...
Are you working?
No, ma'am.
Well, how are you going to make the payments on the car?
Well, I just moved back into my mom's here recently. I have to get another job.
Where's the boyfriend?
Right here.
How come you moved out of his house?
We both moved into my mom's house. We were having too much problems in Monette where we were living with him. He had assaulted me shortly after I moved out.
Who did?
My father. I had to get a restraining order against him on December 8th. He assaulted me on December 7th.
About what?
About he was mad that I moved out, and I was living with him.
Does he work?
Yes, he does.
What does he do?
He is
Don't
in
look down.
factory.
What?
Factory.
And what about you?
I'm in school, high school.
How do you do in high school?
I do really good. I have good grades.
You do really well.
I do really well. I try.
I have a report card from when she left.
We don't need you to do any negatives.
Okay, I just sort of...
Listen to me. Is he in school?
No, he's not.
How old is he?
22.
Do you have the ability to do better in school?
Yes, ma'am.
It's really dumb to hitch your wagon to a star when you're 18 years old, especially when the star isn't such a star. Unless you get an education, it's going to be a struggle your whole life. You want to struggle your whole life?
No, Your Honor.
You know what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am.
You look like you have the potential to do okay. Unless you recognize your potential, you're going to be clawing at life your whole life. I think that taking back this car is probably going to be a terrible burden for you, financially, because you don't have the money for it now, right?
Right.
So you put in $4,000 into the car in the year that you had it, in payments that you made.
Correct.
Let's say you had to rent a car, a basic car, for the year. That would have cost you about $2,000 or $166 a month, basic. So you have the following choice. Either you assume full financial responsibility for this car, or I'm prepared to award you half of what you're requesting, which is $2,000, which might give you an opportunity of going and finding a good second-hand car that wouldn't give you any further payments. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And then Ms. Neely and your father can go and sell this car. If they make a profit, fine. If they don't, fine. You think that's a smarter idea for you?
Yes, I do, because I don't know what they've done. I'm not sure what they've done to the car since I haven't had it.
Well, I don't think they've purposely done anything. They're trying to sell it. All right. You can't anticipate a breach of a contract. You had an agreement with this young lady, and she fulfilled her end of the agreement. She used the car for a year, over a year. She understands that that's wear and tear on the car. I'm awarding her $2,000. Be smart. Buy wheels so that you can get yourself to and from school and to and from a part-time job. Do well in school. Think a little higher than what you know. You know, think a little higher, think. Can I reach my potential, and what is that?
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have any children, do you?
Oh, no.
Right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
And you don't plan on any for a while, right?
No, ma'am.
Very smart. Make sure. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,000. That's all.
I went driving around. He got upset because we were going to get married and hit me a couple times.
No, I never assaulted my daughter.
She moved out, moved in with me, and we had trouble ever since.
He basically told her that she couldn't go around anybody and do anything. We couldn't come around her.
They like to lie, and they're vicious people, I think.
They got what they deserve. They put her through a lot of trouble when I first met her.
They're portraying to be such innocent people right now, and they've got plans to move to Illinois just as soon as they get the money to go, and I think they just got their money.
I think when he grows up and becomes a man, then he can realize what he's missed out on throughout the years.
For things to turn out like this, it's just something I don't know if I'll ever get over. I don't know if she'll ever get over.
Notary public Marlene Ruddock is suing her ex-boyfriend, bail bondsman Tim Dean, for forging documents and stealing her possessions. Tim is countersuing for harassment.
Now, this is case number 139 on the calendar in the matter of Ruddock versus Dean. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Ruddock, it is your claim that the defendant has your property from your home, television, furniture, etc. The defendant says that you sold him this property, and he has a notarized bill of sale to prove it. How do you know him?
Years ago, when I was in property management, I leased him and his best friend an apartment. And through the years, I had gotten married. Recently, we had gotten back in contact.
How did you do that?
I had made a phone call to him. Me and my husband were having issues at the time. And
were you and your husband still living together?
No, we were separated.
So you contacted him for what purpose?
We were together at one time.
You were a couple?
Yes.
My question is, you contacted him why?
Out of caring feelings, that kind of thing.
Okay. When did you contact him?
I believe it was in September.
And you and your husband were not living together at the time?
No.
Okay. So how did he come into possession of your furniture?
Back in November, around Thanksgiving time, he works with a bail bond company, and him and his friends had gone into one of their clients' homes and were staking it out. And they were waiting for the client to come back into the home and get money back from him so he could be released. And my notary stamp was involved in this, and he clearly told me that he had taken it, used my name, signed my name on this power of attorney to remove the belongings from this home.
Just a second. What does that have to do with your furniture?
What that has to do with it is the state of Nevada had pressed charges on him and had got in contact with me in December.
Just a second. So far, all you've told me is that in September of 2003, you were separated from your husband, and you put in a call to Mr. Dean because you and he were a couple at one time.
Correct.
That's all I heard. Then I heard some bubba-mices about him being in somebody else's house with Richard Dreyfuss on a stakeout. Do you understand?
Correct.
We're not at your house yet.
Okay.
With your furniture.
Basically, what happened in December is I'd been contacted by the state of Nevada.
No, you're back there again, Mrs. Ruddock.
I had to leave for my safety.
Mrs. Ruddock, I don't know how he came to live in your house, madam.
Because he had established residence there.
Well, we didn't get to that. So let's go back to September when you placed a phone call to him. You said hello. He said hello.
We became a couple again.
I don't know what that means, we became a couple.
He moved into my home.
When did he move into your home?
Probably the first part of October, along with his daughter. Then in December, I was contacted by the state of Nevada that my car had been involved in a criminal activity.
Your what?
My Cadillac, my car, my vehicle that Mr. Dean had been driving. And at that time, me and him had decided to go our separate ways, and he had contacted me when I was at work on my cell phone telling me to bring his belongings back to him. Or I could say sorry, and this would all go away.
Just a second. Miss Ruddock, you are all over the place, and I'm having a really difficult time following you, madam. Was he living in your home, or was he not living in your home?
Yes, he was living in my home.
So in December, he was living in your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Okay. And at that time, on that same day...
What day?
It was December 8th or the 7th of 2003.
Okay.
And he had called telling me if I didn't bring his car back to him, then everything could be okay with us if I said sorry. I feared for my safety at that time because I'd been in contact with the state of Nevada. I got my children and went to California because I told them what I knew, what he'd done with my notary stamp in forging my name on this power of attorney where it goes back in November. And I left with my children at that time for fear of my safety. When I came back on December 14th, I had called the police, and they went up with me. They looked at the 5-day on the notice, and the cop handed it to me. He says, "Are you aware that you've been served this 5-day?"
I have no idea what you're talking about.
This 5-day right here.
What do you mean you have been served with a 5-day?
That's what
a 5-day what?
A 5-day notice to leave my home.
Who was on the lease in your home?
My husband, myself, and my children. This is the lease right here. So I held the original lease.
Well, your children can't sign a lease.
No, but they just put 2 adults, 2 children.
Oh. December 7th or 8th you left. Is that what you say? And you came back on December 14th. And between December 7th or 8th and December 14th is when you say he came into possession of your furniture and your belongings?
Correct.
Is that right? Correct. Okay. All right, Mr. Dean. You do not deny that you have Mrs. Ruddock's furniture and television, et cetera, but it is your claim that she sold you all this property. Is that
yes,
right?
Your Honor.
All right. So let me hear how she sold you the property, sir.
Well, let's put a little clarity on this. As Ms. Ruddock was saying, I knew her years ago. She was dating my bounty hunting partner at the time. And once they broke it off, we dated for a couple weeks till I found out that she was still seeing her husband.
Okay. Listen to me. I don't want to go back that far,
okay.
Mr. Dean. You have her furniture. Prove to me, sir, that she sold it to you because she owed you money.
That's what I think, but what it is, it was another little thing she was doing as far as so her husband wouldn't get half the belongings.
You swore in your answer, sir, that she sold you her furniture because she owed you money. That's what you said. So I want you to try sticking to one story. Explain to me how she owed you money, for what, and when she sold you the furniture.
She told me that she was selling me the furniture for the money that she owed me, but I knew because...
Just a minute. Tell me what money she owed, Mr. Dean.
I'd paid off her warrants.
Paid off her warrants. Warrants for what?
For bad checks, Your Honor.
Okay. And you paid them off how, sir?
By giving her the money which she never used to pay the warrants.
Show me.
Show you?
Show me check, money order, withdrawal from a bank.
I gave her cash, Your Honor.
Show me check, money order, or withdrawal from the bank.
I don't have that, Your Honor. Just my daughter is a witness attesting to that.
I'm not going to ask her a question. I mean, what did you think you were coming to court for, sir? Tea dance?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Ex-boyfriend Tim Dean forged documents in order to steal her belongings. Tim says Marlene was trying to hide property from her ex-husband.
First of all, let me see the bill of sale, and then you're going to explain to me exactly how she was compensated for her furniture. Show me the bill of sale and then explain to me how she was compensated.
Gave it to her. She has a copy of it, Your Honor.
You have the bill of sale?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. And this is also...
Don't speak. Just show it to me. I have a feeling you two of you deserve each other.
This is forged, Your Honor. That's what my...
I didn't ask you a thing. I asked you for the bill of sale. Do you understand?
Yes.
I mean, I think that you're a con artist as well. I know he is. I don't think you're much better. We'll show this to him. Let's see if this is... Is that the bill of sale, sir, that you showed the police?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Dean. So I am correct, sir. When she came back on December the 14th, she said, give me my furniture back. You said, I have a bill of sale, right? She sold me the furniture.
Correct.
Right? She sold you the furniture for a big screen Mitsubishi television set for $1, all household furnishings for $1, all tools for $1, all appliances for $1, all wall hangers for $1, all bedding for $1, and a 1993 Cadillac Eldorado for $2.50.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, are you still living in the apartment, sir?
It's a house, Your Honor.
Are you
yes.
still living in the house?
Correct.
Good. With all of this stuff? With all of this stuff?
No. The only thing.
Yeah, listen to me,
The
sir.
only thing of value was the big screen TV. In fact, everything.
Now listen
else
to me, sir. Now I want you to listen to me very, very carefully.
Okay.
Did I tell you about 5 minutes ago that I'm smarter than you are? I don't think you believe me. This is not a bill of sale that reflects the value of this property.
Exactly.
And if what you're telling me is that you knew that what Ms. Reddick was trying to do was to fraudulently convey marital property to you, is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you.
Then what I'm telling you is this isn't worth anything. Do you understand? If you are aware that she is trying to commit a fraud and you are complicit in that, then this goes in the garbage. Do you understand, Mr. Dean?
She owed me the money, Your Honor.
No, now we're getting back to, oh, she owed me the money. And what I'm telling you is, show me. I want you to show me. And if you can't, say, I can't.
I can't, Your Honor.
Good. Then I find that that is a fraudulent conveyance, and within 5 days, she will be there with a moving van to pick up all the items on that piece of garbage, including all of the household furniture, the television, etc.
Everything of those items is mine, Your Honor. As far
Listen
as
to me. Listen to me, sir. Show me. Show me,
those
Mr.
items
Dean.
are mine.
That is too bad. And I'm telling you, she is coming to pick up your property,
No, she's
the
not, Your
property,
Honor.
sir. Yes, 5 days from today. Absolutely, Mr. Dean. That is what's going to happen, sir. Now let's get to your counterclaim. I don't want to hear anything else. Counterclaim, Mr. Dean.
Your Honor, I know exactly what's going on here, and I don't appreciate it.
That's too bad, sir. If you're not going to get to your counterclaim is dismissed with prejudice. Step out. 5 days from today, the court will enter an order. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I've got a temporary restraining order from this woman.
As I've said before, he's a shyster.
She slashed my tires.
Me slashing tires is not my style, that's his.
She tried to tow my vehicles.
He knows that everything he said was a lie.
She's psycho.
I'm glad Judge Judy ruled in my favor.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter are Tardif, Morales versus Harrison. Step forward, please.
Grad student Joseph Ted Tardif and his roommate, Adrian Morales, are suing landscape business owner Alan Harrison for damage to their swimming pool. Ted and Adrian say Alan accidentally drove his stump cutter into the pool.
Mr. Tardif, according to what I read in your complaint, you hired Mr. Harrison to come and grind some tree stumps in your backyard. And he had an accident in your backyard. He and his machine fell into your swimming pool, causing some damage. You want him to pay for the damage to your pool. Mr. Harrison acknowledges that he had the
accident.
He acknowledges that he and his machine tipped over and went into your pool. It was entirely his fault, correct, Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Except he said that the pool was not damaged to the extent you say it was, and he's not going to build you a new pool, which is really what you want. He's willing to clean it up, but that's about it. Is that right?
We had the agreement, yes.
Well, I don't know what agreement you had, but I assume Mr. Tardif is going to tell me. Mr. Harrison, what kind of business do you have?
I operate a stump grinding business and a tree and landscape demolition removals.
How long have you been doing it?
3 years.
You have insurance?
No.
Why not?
Well, I just couldn't afford it at the time, and I'm still trying to build up. Things are a little bit tight, and I don't have insurance.
Who are these people?
These are my witnesses to cleaning the pool and to removing the stump cutter from the pool.
Okay. Do you have a picture of the stump cutter?
I have pictures.
I would like to see it. I don't know what a stump cutter looks like. Did you put in the pool, or was the pool
It was
there?
there when we bought the house.
So this is really what you're talking about, sir. You're talking about the staining and the cracks on the bottom of the pool.
Yes.
You have any photographs, Mr. Harrison?
Video.
I'd like to see your video.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever seen a stump grinder at the bottom of a swimming pool? That's not. His name is Chewy, and we've got a chip right there, and a little one right there, and a little scraper over there, little gunite scraper, something along those lines. But we're going to set up some ramps and wheel this baby out pretty much that direction. We'll come along, get her out of here so his friend can skate the pool finally.
What is that supposed to show me, sir?
The damage, there was minor damage done to the pool when it fell in, the scrapes and the small chip.
How do I know that? The bottom of the pool is all full of mud.
It was on the side.
How do I know the bottom of the pool was all full of mud, sir? How do I know what was at the bottom of the pool?
When the stump grinder fell in, it rolled over, it put a scrape in the pool, it came down and it sat in one spot. And that's all it did.
Were you down there, sir?
I was in the pool when it went in. And I saw the stump cutter actually just lower itself down and stop in one spot.
Mr. Harrison, you have a problem, sir. Let me tell you what you should have had instead of a video camera. Insurance. Unfortunately, there may have been some chips and nicks that existed in this pool before, but you are responsible for putting this pool back into a pristine condition, because you are not going to be able to demonstrate to any court satisfaction that this pool was in rotten condition before your stump cutter grinder fell into it.
Well, what happened was this. We came to an agreement that minor damage was done by myself, but it wasn't that bad. So I said, okay, you find somebody, I'll pay for the cleaner. And he said, I also want $1,000 free compensation for further work done on the pool. I said, okay, I was thinking about $800, but $1,000 sounded fine. About a few days later, I get a call from a representative of his pool cleaning company giving me Sully's phone number, of which I have his card and an invoice. And when I communicated it to Mr. Tardif, that we were kind of having a little problem with the pool cleaner going in there, he said that it's his pool and he's going to get it cleaned the way he decides.
He's absolutely right.
Yes, he is.
He's absolutely right. He doesn't have to deal with your two guys. He's already dealt with one person who doesn't have insurance. Who's your insurance carrier?
I don't have an insurance carrier.
Right. You understand what I'm saying to you, sir? It's not up to you to determine how he gets his pool fixed.
Okay, but
you
that was
should
our
have been
agreement.
more careful.
Yes.
A. You should have had insurance. B. And if not, you saved on the premiums for 3 years. Now it's going to cost you. End of discussion. Oh, goodness gracious. Do I need you anymore? I mean, you're not a genius. If you have stumps that you want taken out of your house, you get somebody who's licensed and has insurance. I don't let somebody on my property unless they have insurance. So if there's an accident, you don't have to have this problem. You say, just give me the name of your insurance carrier. Put it into my insurance, and they'll pay the bill for the right kind of person to clean out and to take care of my pool. Do you understand?
Yeah, I totally
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,700. That's all.
Why is that excuse? You may step out.
The right rear tire hit the lip of the pool and flipped over.
I personally believe that they had a plan to go in there and wipe the whole thing out and stick me with it so they could get a free pool.
Slow motion, all the sound effects, and with them falling in the pool was crazy.
It is quite a shocker. But at the same time, we had an agreement for $1,000 and for me to pay the pool cleaner, and he's not happy that he called somebody to screw it up, and he didn't want to even go after him for anything or settle it that way. He just wanted to straight come after me.
Worker Christine Barros is suing her former friend, research supervisor Nicole Duquette, for the unauthorized use of a cash card. Nicole is countersuing for harassment.
Yeah, this is case number 106 on the calendar, the matter of Barrios versus Duquette. Vice has been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Barrios, Miss Duquette used to be a very dear friend of yours.
Yes.
And it is your claim that she stole $600 from you.
Yes.
She says she did not. She is counterclaiming because she said since this incident you've embarked upon a course of harassing her, and she is counterclaiming for several $1,000s. So why don't you tell me the circumstances surrounding her taking your money?
It was April 1st. It was about 8:30. I was downtown running some errands.
8:30 in the morning?
In the morning. I had withdrawn $160, $100 which I owed to the defendant. She called me and asked me what I was doing for the day. I said running errands. Why? She said she really needed to see me. She wanted to talk. She needed to escape. And I said, well, you can come pick me up. She came and picked me up in front of the Greyhound station downtown Sacramento, and we got in the car.
In her car?
In her car.
Had you planned on seeing her?
I had planned on seeing her at some point.
Okay, and that's when you were going to give her the money?
Yeah.
What did you borrow the money for?
It wasn't even a matter of me borrowing it. It was for gas, her taking me places, and her.
Because you don't have a car.
I don't have a car. She takes me places. She was a very helpful friend.
Oh, fine. So now she came down. She picked you up at the Greyhound station. What happened?
She said she needed to run some errands. Immediately, as soon as I got into the car, I handed her the $100. Immediately.
So far, is that right?
No.
She didn't give you the $100?
No, she didn't.
Okay. Go ahead.
We went to Kmart. She needed to run some errands. She needed some cotton balls, some lotion, some shampoo. When we got that, we called her friend, who happens to be here, went and saw him for a few minutes, went to lunch in Fair Oaks, down by the river, sat there for a little while, spoke some more, got back in the car, dropped off her friend.
Which friend?
That would be Franklin.
It would be you. Okay.
Dropped him off, and she kept asking me if there was anything I needed to do before I went home. And I said, well, I do have to stop at the bank and get the money to pay my phone bill. At a certain point, she allowed...
Why didn't you take out that money when you went earlier that day?
Because I have a tendency to take money and spend it when I don't need to. So I only take the money out when needed. And the money that I had taken out that morning, I had spent the majority of it, so I didn't have enough to cover for my phone bill.
Okay, so you were going back to the bank?
Yep, we were headed back to the bank.
And Ms. Duquette took you back to the bank?
Actually, I was driving her car. She wasn't feeling very well. She allowed me to drive, knowing I don't
you
have
were
a license.
driving, you drove back to your bank?
Yes. When I proceeded to take off my seatbelt to go and take out the money, she said, no, I'll go do it. You're driving today, so I'll take it out for you. Not a problem.
Okay, just a second. So what did you do? You gave her your PIN number?
She's had my PIN number. She's had my PIN number because the card is used for cash aid and food stamp aid, and she would, on certain occasions, take my oldest daughter to the supermarket, and they'd use my PIN to get food with food stamps.
So she had your PIN number?
Mm-hmm.
And she went to the bank and withdrew some money?
Yes.
How much did you tell her to withdraw?
The $60 from my phone.
And she came back and gave you?
A receipt for $60. And we got in the car. I drove to pay my phone bill, and there we switched. She got into the driver's seat. I got into the passenger side. She asked me if there was anything else I needed to do. I said, no, not really. She said, well, I got to go home.
When did you ascertain that more money was taken out of the...
The following morning, Your Honor. I get my cash aid on the 1st, and I get my food stamp aid on the 2nd. And it was the last of the month, so I needed to see if we had the food stamps were in the account so I can go buy groceries before I went out and did some errands. And it gives you the cash account balance and the food stamp balance at the same time. My cash account balance came up to $39.12. And now my heart stopped and it froze immediately. That was like 7:45 the following morning, April 2nd.
Okay, so that's the money. That $600 is what you say Ms. Duquette took from your account.
Absolutely.
Without your approval. I never gave it to you. And Ms. Duquette says, of course, that she took out that money and handed it all to you. Okay. Can I see the receipt from the bank, please?
You want to see it all right now? Or
just I want to see that day,
okay.
April 1st. Anna, do you have the receipt that she gave you for $60?
No, I don't. I'd like to make a note. You see that there's three transactions, 60, 0, and 600. Mm-hmm. The one for 0, she had tried to withdraw $700.
Doesn't say that here. Well, it's certainly clear that on the 1st of April, there was one withdrawal for $60. And then there was another attempt to withdraw some money. And then there was a third attempt successfully within a minute, and $600 was taken out. Okay. Now I'll hear you.
On that morning, I did pick her up. What happened was she owed me $50. She gave me $100 out of the $660 that I withdrew. That day, I had not known her ATM PIN code. Whenever I took her kids to the store, they had cash. I never knew the PIN number. She gave it to me that morning. I pulled the money out. I gave her the money when I got in the car.
Okay. So you acknowledge that you took out the money?
Yes.
And it is your claim that you gave her the money?
Yes, I did.
Could you explain to me why there were 3 separate attempts to take out money?
Because she originally wanted me to pull out $700.
Yes.
So I took the $60 out. She wanted to keep her transactions separate. She said make 2 transactions because she always lost money. That day she had just lost her ATM card. I had to take her back to the bank because she left it in the ATM machine.
I still don't understand, Ms. Duquette, why if she asked you to take out $700, you withdrew $60, and then a minute later you tried to withdraw another amount of money, and then a minute later you withdrew $600.
Shh. That money was not an issue because she gave me money all the time.
Oh, no, listen, you're not listening to me, madam. You just testified that she wanted you to take out $700.
Yes.
Why didn't you take out the $700?
She wanted me to take out 60 separate, 700 separate. It would not let me take out 700. That is why I ended up taking out 600.
So what kind of a discussion did you have when you got back into the car?
She counted her money. She gave me $100. We went to the store, drove around for a little while, and I took her home.
Just a second. And that's all that happened?
Yes.
You mean she didn't say to you, I asked you to take out $700, and you said to her, I tried to take out $700, but I couldn't because the bank wouldn't let me take out the $700?
Well, as soon as I got in the car and I handed her her money and her receipts, I said it wouldn't let me take out $600.
Well, you left that out. Miss Duquette, you left that out, madam. We're in a courtroom situation. I have to decide which of you two ladies is telling me the truth. Whether Miss Berrios, who missing a few screws by giving somebody their PIN number. I wouldn't give my kid one of my PIN numbers. For sure I wouldn't give one of my kids my PIN number. You have children?
Oh, you know I do.
Anybody ever get your PIN number?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Former friend Nicole Duquette stole money from her bank account. Nicole is denying the charge.
Now, I read your complaint very carefully. You confronted her about this the next day. Tell me what happened. Tell me what happened when you confronted her.
Okay, that morning I called to see if my food stamps were available.
You told me all of that.
Okay.
You got that. You couldn't breathe. You couldn't catch your breath. You were overwhelmed. You realized that you had $30 left in your account and the other money was gone and you didn't have it.
Absolutely.
So you picked up the phone and you called her.
I picked up the phone at 9:30 and called her. And I said, Nicole, tell me that you took out the money because you were afraid that I was going to spend it for the rent. In that case, I can just go pick it up, put it in a money order, and come pay my rent. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what do you mean, what am I talking about? You took out money yesterday that you weren't supposed to, and I'm hoping and praying that it was for that purpose only, because she's always been a good friend. And she said, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to get to you. Okay. Go ahead.
So she got on the phone, I asked her, after I said, no, I have the proof. You made 3 transactions at the bank while I was sitting in the car in the driver's seat. I've already got the times, the amounts. I need to know where my money is. That's my rent money. And she said, oh, well, you know, I thought I'd have it back to you by tonight. I said, well, do you mind? I said, do you mind if I know what you took the money for? I mean, that's none of your business. And I said, well, Nicole, what's going to happen? She goes, I'm going to have the money for you before you have to pay the rent. I said, Nicole, it's the 2nd of the month. My rent is due on the 5th. It's $832. You just took 3/4 of my rent money.
So what happened?
She said, I'll call you later. I'm at work. Did not hear from her that afternoon. Called once. They told me she had left early. I don't call her home phone because of her companion, her partner. Don't want any trouble. That Monday, I called her at work. I didn't get to speak to her until later on that afternoon. And all she said, I got to go, I got to go. The next day, which is Tuesday, she left me a voicemail, which has since erased. It said, I'm at my friend's house. He's going to loan me $1,000 so I can give you your money. I'll be at the house.
Listen to me. Voicemails shouldn't get erased if they acknowledge a debt.
I know. I didn't know.
So then don't repeat it. So then listen to me. Don't repeat it to me.
Okay. Well, that afternoon she says, well, my friend didn't come through for me. I'm going to see if I can go sell my car rims.
Okay. And is what you're telling me that these conversations never took place?
Never.
Okay. Now, let's get to your allegation of harassment. When did the harassment start?
On April 8th. What happened? The day of my girlfriend's mother's memorial, she called my house acting like she was a private detective.
Okay.
It was a man that called, which sounded like a young man, according to her, who answered the phone.
So you didn't take this conversation?
No.
Somebody else did. Step up. Tell me your name.
Esther Henry.
All right, Miss Henry, you took a telephone call on the 8th of April.
Yes, I took several telephone calls.
Did you make any phone calls April 8th?
Nope, not to her house phone. Absolutely not.
Okay. Did you know who had made those phone calls?
At first I didn't. It was the day of my mom's memorial.
Okay, so you don't know who did.
At first.
Just for my own information, what did the person say?
Okay, on the first call, it was a younger voice, but kind of disguised, and he said, I'm detective from the police department. Is Nicole here? So I'm like, no, she's not here. Can I take a message? And he said no, and then he hung up. Then he called back. Different voice this time. And in the background is F this, F that. Is Nicole there? Is Nicole there? No, she's not. Then a lot of harassment, cussing on the phone. You better get her. She's in for it, you know, and all this stuff. And
what was it? Just a second. What do you think that was about, Miss Henry?
I don't have a clue.
Okay. Anything else you have to testify to?
Yes. Then the third call, the plaintiff outright said who she was.
Yes.
This is Christina.
Yes.
Is Nicole there? And I said no. Well, she owes me some money, and I want my money. She told me she was going to pay me back. She didn't pay me back yet, and I want my money. If she doesn't give me my money, then I'm going to call the police. And I'm like, okay, well, can I take a message down and, you know, tell her?
What was the message? Just as what part of what she said didn't you understand?
Listen
to me. That was the message. She said it's the 8th of April. She's supposed to pay me back some money. If she doesn't pay me back the money, I'm going to the police. That's what she said.
Yes.
So you understood the message.
When I say message, I'm like a phone number so she can call you back. I got that part of the message.
I got it too.
I did.
Anything else you want to tell me?
No, that was
Good,
about
perfect. Sit down.
I even have an email here from her This is not the first
From
time that
me?
this has happened. I've known her since 2001. She worked at my job.
Okay.
She was trying to have a relationship with me, and that was her way of trying to get me by giving me money all the time.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. So, Ms. Duquette, listen to me very carefully. Is what you're saying to me that she was trying to endear herself to you by being generous with you with money?
In fact, she was an offer.
Speak.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that in the past you had, in fact, taken money from her. In the
Yes.
past you had taken
Yes.
money from her. Did she ever complain about it?
No, because I always
Shut
did
up
something
just a
for
second.
her.
After somebody had been generous with you, given you money in the past, why she would say that you stole the money this time? Unless maybe she's having a psychotic attack. Is that right?
Well, she was on medication.
Oh, okay. I don't buy it, Mr. Kent. I think you took the money and you thought maybe you could get it back to her, or you thought this is somebody who really had a thing for you and you would get away with it. You took the money out of her account and you did not give it to her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all. Your counterclaims. Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm excited because she was trying to come in here with an ammunition of false information.
A lot of the reasons why I got money from her was because I did favors for her.
I trusted her.
Now all of a sudden she's a scorned woman because she wanted something that she couldn't have.
She bonded with all 4 of my children, and she's nothing but a liar.
I helped her get a backbone.
She always said, you know what? Be a woman about yourself. Being a woman about myself now, aren't I?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Perry versus Bartle. Step forward.
Homemaker Lynn Perry is suing Travis and Michelle Bartle for the cost of vet bills. Lynn says Michelle's 12-year-old son, Matthew Fry, beat on her cat with a stick.
Miss Perry, Mr. and Mrs. Bartle's son injured your cat with a stick, and you want them to pay the vet bills. And Mr. and Mrs. Bartle seem to say it was the cat's fault because the cat was out running loose, and the cat should not have been running loose. That's your defense. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You. Over here.
Seat up here, okay?
So, you watch me. Don't take your eyes off me for a second. Your son told you the following story, which I gather from your answer, that he was riding down the street at his grandmother's house, and a dog was chasing him in the middle of the street.
Yes, ma'am.
And he had a stick, and he accidentally hit the cat.
That's what he told me.
And that's what you believe.
He told me that the bike hit the cat, and then the stick hit the cat, too, yeah.
Oh. Now, your cat was seriously injured.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of a cat is it?
She's actually a mutt. She's pure white, one blue eye, one green eye, 16 years old.
Managed to get through 16 years before she met this young man.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of injuries did she have?
She's lost some sight in her left eye, and she was bleeding from her nose and her mouth when the incident happened.
You're 12 years old?
Yes.
You do okay in school?
Yeah.
When did you go to your grandmother's house that day, Matthew?
We went over there that morning.
Who went over there?
Me and my 2 sisters.
Now, there came a point at some time that you were outside on your bike.
Yeah.
Who were you riding with, yourself or with your sisters?
I was by myself. It was after I took my sisters to their friends.
And about how far was that? A block, 2 blocks?
About a block.
Did you have any trouble taking your sisters over to their friend's house?
No.
Did you have any trouble coming back?
I...
Look at me.
The dog.
Look at me.
I was getting chased by the dog.
Oh,
on
that's
the
what you're just a dog. Was it a big dog?
It was a bulldog. It was about up to my knees.
And where did that big bulldog start to chase you, Matthew?
Right as a stop sign after I was coming down the hill. I was going to turn down and go down the hill, and it started chasing me.
And you didn't get off your bike from the time the bulldog started to chase you until the time you hit the cat. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you tell me when you got this stick. Is not an answer. Look right here.
I left with the stick from my grandma's.
You did?
Yes.
Why would you leave carrying a stick?
The dog was chasing me.
No. The dog didn't start chasing you until you got to a stop sign, Matthew.
Yeah, from my friend, from my sister's friend's house.
That's not what you told me. You told me that the dog started to chase you when you were making a turn at a stop sign.
Yes, ma'am. Or right as I take the right turn, he started chasing me.
Right, and you didn't get off the bike. So if the dog was chasing you, and I asked you, when did you get this big stick?
Before I left the house.
Why would you start carrying a stick on your bicycle?
Because he's bit me before, and I didn't want to get bit again. And
Matthew, I don't believe you.
My mom was...
Matthew, I don't believe you. You may have told that story to your mother and father about the big dog chasing you and the stick, but I don't believe it. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you want to tell me how you hit this cat with the stick?
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to hear the truth from you.
Yes, ma'am.
You say yes, ma'am. You make sure you believe yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I was riding down the hill with the stick in my hand. That's when the dog was chasing me.
Yeah, how big a stick was it?
It was a broomstick.
A broomstick?
Broke in half.
Go ahead.
I was riding down through there, and I was looking back. That's the time that the dog was chasing me. And I kept on looking back, and he wasn't there. And I turned around. I didn't know what it was until I hit it. And I saw that it was a cat. I really didn't mean to, but... So.
I still don't know how it got hit in the face with a stick.
I was riding down through there, and it was in the middle of the road. And I looked back, and I looked forward, and I hit it.
With the stick?
Yes, ma'am.
Baloney. Go sit down. It's not true. It's not the way it happened.
Well, he told me that he hit the cat with the bike and then the stick, and the bike has freestyle pegs on the front.
He was lying to you. I raised 5 children. None of them ride their bicycle that they're supposed to hold on to with 2 hands, carrying a broomstick in one hand unless they're looking for trouble. You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand? You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
They may have believed you momentarily. Maybe they still do. I don't believe you, Matthew. You're not supposed to hurt a living thing. Ever. And if a dog was chasing you, you don't take your bike out. You stay at your grandmother's house. And if it was chasing you when you took your sister to their friend's house, stay at the friend's house and call your grandmother. And call your mother and say, I'm afraid to go home because this big bulldog is chasing me. You understand?
Yes,
that's why I don't believe you. All they're asking for is their vet bills. You're lucky. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $605.01. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I have a 3-year-old son that was out playing at the same time the incident happened, and he came running in the house telling me that Kitty had blood.
The police came and we talked to them.
We ran outside, and of course Pat immediately went to the emergency room.
He was crying. He was upset.
Our cat was on the side of the road sitting doing nothing, and you'd have to be pretty close to it to hit it.
It was an accident.
If they can just know what's right from wrong and help him learn a lesson, then I'm pretty much satisfied.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hammond versus Hemstreet. Step forward.
16-year-old Robert Hammond III and his dad, Robert Jr., are suing Robert's mother, property manager Carolyn Hemstreet, for taking back a truck she gave to Robert for his 16th birthday. Carolyn claims the vehicle was never a gift.
Mr. Hammond, this is your former wife and your son that 2 of you share. According to what I read in your complaint, since your divorce, your son has spent time with both his mother and with you.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
And sometime last year, when your son was living with his mother, he turned 16, according to your son, his mother gave him a truck. Is that right, sir?
Yes, that was actually earlier this year. Oh, that's right, Your Honor.
When did you turn 16?
June 20th of 2004.
And when did your mother give you the truck?
Well, I started driving the truck when I was about 15 and a half. When I got my driver's permit, she started letting me drive it with her and then with other adults just to learn how to drive vehicle. She basically physically gave me the truck on my 16th birthday. She was like, oh, happy birthday. This is your truck. Do what you want with it.
And that was June 20th of 2004.
That's correct.
When did you go to live with your father?
I moved in with my father September 4th of 2004.
Now, from June 20th, 2004 until September 4th, 2004, when you lived with your mom, did you drive the truck every day?
Yes.
Did your mother drive the truck?
Very rarely, because she has like 4 other vehicles. She has a brand new Dodge Ram.
Who else lived in your home with your mother?
It was just me, my mother, and my stepdad.
Now, when you went to live with your father on September 4th, you took the truck with you?
Yes.
And when did your mother take it back?
I think it was approximately September 27th.
Tell me about that.
Well, basically, I was living with my mom for a while, and then she started getting really frustrated because she was trying to buy a new house, and she got really stressed out, and she was like, oh, maybe you should move in with your dad, this and that. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll look at it. So I ended up starting to talk to my dad, and I was talking to my different aunts. They were saying, yeah, at this point in your life, it's better to live with your father. But basically, I was just really stressed out trying to deal with my senior year and then have my mom, stressing me out because I wasn't able to work, and I wasn't able to rely on her to
So you went to live with your father.
Yeah.
September 27th, she took the truck back. My question was, tell me about her taking the truck back.
Oh, basically, she came up to my school September 27th, and she came with the pink slip and everything because the truck was still in her name since I was under her custody. And she was like, so, do you want to give me the truck back? And I was like, no, because it's not really your truck.
When had she asked you for the truck before September 27th?
A few days before that, she had came over to my grandma.
Tell me about it.
Okay. Well, I was over at my grandma's. It was about September 25th.
Don't play with your paper, madam.
Yes. And she came over requesting the truck, and I was just in the middle of, like, helping out my grandma doing some work for her. Mom was just like, oh, give me back your truck, this and that. And she tried to, like, physically take it from me. I refused to give her the key.
Was that the first time she had asked you for the truck?
No, I think she had asked me on the phone once before that, but then I thought she had dropped it because I was just like...
Well, what did she say on the phone?
I don't remember her exact words, but basically she was like, oh, if you want to live with your dad, basically you need to pay for the truck. She was like, you can pay me in payments. She was just basically saying, oh, you need to pay me $5,000 for the vehicle.
And what did you say?
I said, that's not really realistic because the truck was given to me as a gift. Therefore, I invested money in it, and I didn't think I would have to pay you back for the truck that was already given to me. So I was like, no, I'm not going to pay you for a truck that you supposedly gave to me.
From June of 2004, when you got the truck, until September, when you moved in with your father, had your mother ever made any statement to you that would indicate that she expected you to pay her for the truck?
No.
Your Honor, I allowed my son to use the truck because we lived 8 miles south of town.
Did you ever say to him on his birthday, here's the truck?
No, I said, you're authorized to use the truck now that you have a license, because he was cited for driving the vehicle without a license, and he was speeding also.
So you're telling me on his birthday you said to him, you can now use the truck?
Well,
is that what you're telling me?
Well, he was using the truck against my better wishes prior to his 20th birthday.
16th birthday.
His 16th birthday. Well, he acts like a 20-year-old, excuse me.
Were you in favor of him moving in with his father?
No, Your Honor, I wasn't.
Why not?
Well, Robert had just recently been released from a group home where he was incarcerated for 2 years, and he had been with me approximately 3 or 4 months, and then he became uncontrollable again, and he was getting physical with me, pushing me around, and we were verbally assaulting each other, cussing each other out, and he was getting really out of hand. But
what kind of work do you do, Mr. Hammond?
I work for the state of California. I'm an insurance claims representative.
Does your judgment for the divorce provide for custody for your son?
Yes, I do have sole physical custody.
In the judgment for divorce?
Yes.
Is there an order of support?
Yes.
Your former wife is supposed to pay support for him?
Yes, there's several $1,000s in arrears that she has not paid.
Why is that?
Well, Your Honor, at the time, I've been disabled for approximately 16 years since Robert was an infant. And at the time...
What's the nature of your disability?
I'm a bipolar. I stressed out as a result of job-related stress working with the Sheriff's Department at a prison.
Has the order of support ever been lifted?
Yes, Your Honor. There was a time when I had sole physical custody of my Robert, which was just prior to him being with his father. And also, I owed his father child support, and he was also paying me child support.
How much do you owe him in child support?
Approximately, I figure I owe him about $15,000 in child support.
Do you have other children?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How many?
I have 2.
How old are they?
10 and 11.
Your disability didn't prevent you from having other children?
No, sir. I had the children shortly after I became disabled.
Can I see the pink slip for the truck, please?
Well, Your Honor, I don't physically have the pink slip because I did sell the vehicle. I sold it to an auto dealer for $1,800, which was below the Blue Book value.
Let me see.
This is the statement for the sales, and then also...
very silly lady, Miss Hamstreet.
Well, sir...
You are a very, very silly lady, madam.
Okay.
I don't believe this. That's not the way a dealership, whether it's a used car dealership or anything else, prepares a bill of sale. They put a VIN number on there. They put plate numbers on there. I don't buy this. This does not look, to me, like the kind of receipt somebody gives when they purchase a car if they're a corporation. Ms. Hamster, you are a very foolish woman. You have a son who's 16 years old who maybe is putting his life back in order, maybe, maybe not. At least he appears to be getting along reasonably well with his father. It is clear to me that you at least led him to believe that this car was his on his 16th birthday, that he invested some money into it, into making it his, giving it lack of a pink tone, a more masculine tone, and doing whatever else he did with it. You owe $15,000 in child support. According to you, you sold this truck, if I believed you, for $1,800. Your relationship with your son is not worth $1,800.
No, but I felt compelled to do so because my son almost killed us in a truck once by stopping in traffic. And recently he was involved in another accident, a rear-ended. And so I felt like I didn't want to give my son a vehicle that might ultimately end his life.
You gave it to him already.
I gave it to him to use, Your Honor. But Robert, physically, he was aggressive, and he took the truck from me, him and his father.
No, you told me that you gave it to him. You said you gave it to him
I gave it to him to use because of where we lived.
Listen to me. She says she sold the truck for $1,800. I can't tell you whether she sold it for $1,800 or not. I don't think that she would know the truth if it came up and slapped her in the face. In any event, that's what she says, and I think that she had no right to sell a truck that she gave to you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800. That's all. Thank you.
Excuse me. Step out.
This has been really stressful, just, having to argue with my mom.
The truck had became such an issue with us, and I felt like I didn't want a truck like that to be between me and my son.
I always let my mom because I only have one mom.
I felt like if they were going to try to have me arrested for taking my own truck because I felt it endangered his life, that the truck didn't need to be in the picture.
I don't really care about the truck. It's like, as long as I have my mom, I mean, if we end up going to court, then, whatever happens, happens.
Well, I'm willing to put it behind us. I don't really want to hold any bad feelings. She was my ex-wife, the mother of my child, so I'm not going to hold any animosity towards her.
I'm willing to forgive her. I've already forgiven her. It's just behind me now.
Order, all rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2043, Pelletier versus Allen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This young lady is a friend of yours.
A former friend, correct.
How friend?
I met her from another mutual friend that I had, and we just formed a relationship together, just a friendship.
Are you married?
I'm not. I'm single.
Any kids?
No.
And what about the defendant?
She does have 2 kids, and she is married.
Currently?
Yes, currently married.
Are you also friendly with her husband?
Yeah, just friends. We were, before all this took place.
So that all of you were friends?
Yes, at one point, yes.
Case is relatively simple. Miss Allen's washer and dryer stopped working.
Correct.
You had done some odds and ends things for her in the past.
Yes, worked on her car and stuff.
And did you find or did she find the used washer and dryer?
She asked me for recommendations, and she found it on the selling app for used items.
So you told her where she might look for it?
Correct.
And she found it on an app online?
Correct.
Okay.
No, actually...
Look at me.
Okay. He made the recommendation to me.
Did you go on the app yourself?
No, I did not.
So you never saw the washer and dryer?
Well,
is that what you're... Just a second.
Oh.
So what you're saying, I just want to be clear. So I said, if you didn't go on the site, then you never saw the washer and dryer.
May I speak now?
Either you did go on the site and see it, or I didn't go on the site. I didn't see it.
He sent the picture of them to me, just a screenshot. That's all I got.
Okay. How old are you?
32.
You have 2 children?
Yes.
Did the screenshot show you where they came from?
I have a photo of them, and it doesn't say anything.
So is what you're telling me you didn't know where they came from?
Well, there is a name of the site. Would you like to know that?
You are correct, and I don't know. You said you needed a washer and dryer. You say he found the washer and dryer on a site, sent a photo to you and said, is this what you're looking for?
Correct.
Right? And on that screenshot was the site.
Right.
So you had at least access to the same site that he did.
That's correct.
And did the site give you the name of the person or persons to contact with regard to the washer dryer?
There was no one's name. No one's name, just a phone number.
Did you call a phone number?
I didn't call them.
Who called them?
Mr. Pelletier.
Now, Mr. Pelletier didn't call them unless you said they looked fine.
Well, I did say they looked fine.
Well, what else did you say?
Based on the picture, they looked...
Just a second. Just answer my question.
Okay.
Because what happened here is really relatively simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether you're a simple person, but it's relatively simple. You had a friend. You told him I needed a washer and dryer. Mine broke down. He said, this is a great site. According to you, I'll look up, and he looked up the washer and dryer, and you did nothing. You, who needed the washer and dryer, you must work very hard. How many jobs do you have?
I have a couple of jobs. My children are a big job, for one, and 2, I'm a full-time university student, so I am busy.
So you should be able to get a washer and dryer by yourself. You farmed that job out to him.
I did because he volunteered to help.
Doesn't matter. He didn't volunteer to help unless you told him I need help. I mean, as what it is, are you using him? I'm not sure.
I wouldn't.
I'm not sure. What do you do for him?
I expect him to be gone that long either. It was over a week, and I had to buy the cat's food.
So, just a second. So you watched his cats?
Yes.
And is what you believed that him taking care of getting this washing machine payment for taking care of the cats?
Well, not just that. There's other things that happened while he was installing the washer and dryer.
I don't care about things that... What I'm asking you is I'm trying to figure out what kind of person says to a friend, I need a washer and dryer. He says, as a friend, I'll see if I can help you. You have time. You also go on the computer and figure it out. Being a full-time student is nice. That's what you chose. Somehow, you also support yourself and your 2 children. I don't even want to go into how that's done. However, you said, go get the washer and dryer. And he went, how long?
It's 50 miles from my house, an hour and 45 minutes.
Each way to pick up the washer and dryer that you authorized him to get. You said, go get it. It was $1,800.
Correct. And she had offered $200 tip for the delivery of that.
For you?
Correct. And I have texts of
That's
that.
reasonable because you spent 3.5 hours in the car. Now, do they live on the first floor?
The third floor.
Third floor. Is it a walk up?
Yeah, it's stairway up to the third floor.
So somebody had to go up and take the old washer dryer out. So, Miss Allen, was that you or your husband?
Mr. Pelletier also removed them.
No, you can move your mouth. It's okay if you move.
No,
it's okay if you move your mouth.
I feel like I was being very kind because I didn't decide to sue him for his cat or the damages he did to the couch.
I'm telling you,
cats.
I don't know what your excuse is.
I feel like
I don't care what you feel like. I don't care what you feel like.
And later today.
When we went to transfer the title over together at the DMV, I had to pay off whatever tolls that I had. So between
out.
Hunter Pelletier claims his former friend, Alexandria Allen, is responsible for the cost of a washer and dryer.
The plaintiff walked up the 3 flights of steps, carried each of the washer and dryers downstairs, took the washer and dryers from downstairs up the 3 flights, got them installed, and you didn't like them. They were a different color.
And they're busted up. They don't even work properly.
Okay. Miss Allen, when did this happen? In what month?
January 7th of 2022.
You have receipts for different washers and dryers that you purchased since January of 2022?
I do not have the receipts, no.
That means that you didn't purchase them.
Well, I never paid him for them.
No. That means that you never purchased new ones. That means that you're still using the ones he bought.
Correct. But
right.
They do not work well.
Just, you bought used washer and dryer. You've been using them January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, 8 months, and you're still using them. And you neither paid for them, nor did you pay him for delivery. And I don't know what your excuse is.
I feel like
I don't care what you feel like. I don't care what you feel like. You made a contract with him to go and pick up washers and dryers, disconnect yours, take them out of your house, install these.
For his cat or the damages he did to the couch.
I'm telling you, you should stay in school. How much did you pay for the washer and dryer?
$1,800, and I took the money out of the bank. She had asked me because her ATM has a low limit, so I went into the branch of my own bank.
That's what you're suing for $1,800?
Yeah, I wanted to get the $200 if possible, but at this point, I just want the money for the machines.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. $1,800.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
It damaged the walls of my apartment. They banged it up.
She saw right through everything, the damages, she said.
The machines were overpriced.
None of that happened from me. I'm not a professional installer.
I don't think he cared because it wasn't his money.
At the time, they were less than 6 months old from original purchase date, so they were still worth the money that they were asking.
I don't know. I don't think we're going to be friends anymore.
I don't need friends like that, no.
So this case touched a little upon agency, like an agent-principal relationship, where here the plaintiff was actively acting as her agent by going and picking up these washing machines for her. They had had communications beforehand about this is what they look like, this is what they cost, I'll do it for you for $200. Is this what you want to do? She says yes. You don't get to just then back out of it because you don't like the color. You knew what they looked like. You knew they were used. There was no bait and switch. I was almost waiting for an explanation, for a bait and switch, he put the nice ones in his house and then gave me not so nice ones. But there was nothing. There was very rarely do we see no excuse for.
And she's using them.
Yeah, still for almost a year.
They were all banged up. They were all banged up. Well, that's what happens when you buy something that's used. Mm-hmm. When you buy something over the internet, which is really what she did, she could have just as easily said to him, before you load them in the truck, please take pictures of them so that I see them.
Yes, she could have.
So she could have. Did nothing.
That's
You
not
also,
his fault.
It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Also allowed him to take the other stuff down, put the other stuff up, and then say, well.
Alvarez versus Coover. All parties, please step forward.
Avery Alvarez is suing his former friend, Brianna Coover, for toll charges.
Mr. Alvarez, this is not a very difficult case. It's a question of dates. You bought a new car.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew the defendant somehow through her boyfriend or?
He's my cousin.
Okay, so you purchased a new car. You had an older car that you were still paying off. And Miss Culver needed a car, and you made an arrangement with her where she would take over the monthly payments on your old car so that you would just be paying your new car. And when she finished making the payments on the car would be hers.
That's correct.
You did, in fact, conclude that agreement, and Miss Coover did, in fact, pay off the car.
Yes, ma'am.
She paid off the car. However, she did not register the car in her name.
That's correct.
And you had your plates on the car, and it is your claim that while the car was in her possession, she racked up $600 and some odd in toll fees.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which is what you're suing for.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Culver said that didn't happen. She had her own Easy Pass, toll pass, whatever it is. And there was no way that those tickets were incurred while she was in possession of the car. And additionally, she's got some very sad story. She paid off the car. She didn't register it for some reason. She didn't register it, which I don't have to get into. You took the car back because you were afraid that your plates were on the car, and you started to get these dunning notices for tickets. Then you had to give the car back because you had given her the title to the car when she finished paying off the car, despite the fact she hadn't registered it. And then you took the license plates back, which is a very smart thing to do, because then she couldn't use them to get through the tolls. And the car out, and the car was auctioned off, and now she has no car, and you have $600 worth of tickets in your name.
Yes, ma'am. You got it.
Is that it?
That is a version of the story, yes.
Well, I will let you tell me a different version.
Everything is true. Thus far, we did have the agreement where he wanted a new car, I needed a car.
No, I got that. I just want to know what I said that was incorrect. I just made it shorter.
Just to clarify, when we went to transfer the title over together at the DMV, I had to pay off whatever tolls that I had before they're able to transfer the title over. So that was done. So between that time and the time where he ended up taking the car back, I don't really know how there was $600 worth of tolls.
I don't know either. That's what I'm going to find out. But is there any part of the story that I just told that was inaccurate? He transferred over the car to you. You had possession of the car. He didn't.
Correct.
Other than you, who drove the car? Come on, that's a question. And other than you, who drove the car?
Nobody.
No. Who drove your car?
Avery Alvarez claims his former friend, Brianna Coover, owes for toll charges. Brianna says she already paid for the toll charges.
He says that you had possession of the car. He got notification that there were tickets. You say that you didn't go through tolls. He said, I didn't have possession of the car. Is there anything that is incorrect about that? So it's just a question of dates. It's not a difficult case. It's a question of dates.
Correct.
Okay, so give me the date that you made this arrangement to pay off the car.
I don't know the exact date.
She took over the car payments starting July 2019.
And when was it paid off?
May 16th, 2021.
When it was paid off, did you sign the title over to her? And the lien holder
there said that she had to have a sheriff verify the VIN and the odometer before we could transfer it over. I guess it's a rule in the county. So at that moment, then yes, we signed it over to her so she could do it at her local DMV.
And that was on what date?
That was July 9th.
Now, between July of 2018 and July of 2021, did you ever drive that car?
No, ma'am.
When did you initially take the car back from her?
I took the car back September 11th of 2021.
And how long did you have the car when you took it back because of these tickets?
I texted her on September 15th and told her that she could go pick the car up because I had found out that I
couldn't do that.
Exactly.
It was self-help for that.
Correct.
Okay, so you had the car between September 11th and September 15th.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than that period of time, did you ever drive the car from July 18th until the present time?
No, ma'am.
So if there were any tickets that were accrued, it was either by the defendant or somebody who drove the car with defendant's permission.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the dates of the tickets. Ms. Coover, you don't question the fact that between July 2018 and today's date, with the exception of between September 11th and the 15th of 2021, he did not have possession of the car.
Correct. The only reason that when we transferred the title over, we had an agreement.
Just a second. That's all I asked you. This is not a conversation. I just want to know who got the ticket. They belong to him. Any other tickets from 2018 July until infinity are yours. Well, we have invoice date is 7/28/21. That would be you.
Correct.
June 30th, 2021. 7/1/2021, 7/2/2021, again 7/2, 7/3, 7/6, 7/6, 7/7, 7/8, 7/8, 7/22, and 7/28 of 2021. Those are all you.
Correct.
August 28th, 2021. That would be you.
Yes.
3, 3, 6, 9, 19, 28 of 2021. August. That all would be you.
Yes. I never argued that that wasn't me. I'm just, from the moment that we officially transferred the title over, we were not able to transfer the title over until I paid.
Oh, just show, you paid these?
And we were together.
And just a second. Show me that you paid them.
I have this receipt.
Just show me that you paid them. That's it.
And that would have been what was due at the time when we transferred the title over.
I'm just going by the dates of the tickets, madam. I don't care how the government screws up. That's not my problem. Okay, show me your payment. May I see it, please?
It should say the date there and the cost of those tolls on the day.
This is your SunPass. You replenished your SunPass.
That's a payment to SunPass. His house and took the car. There was no way that I racked up $600 in tolls.
I don't know whether you did or didn't. Then take that up with Department of Motor Vehicles. That's what they say you racked up between that period of time. He didn't have possession of the car. You had possession of the car from the time he transferred over the car to you. You had possession of the car. He didn't.
Correct.
Well, other than you who drove the car. Come on, that's a question. And other than you who drove the car.
Nobody.
No. He never drove your car.
No.
Who drove your car?
I did.
Who else?
Nobody.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $654. We're finished here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Quick and simple case. She did what she needed to do.
I can't really say I'm super surprised, I guess.
I was just asking for payment on the tolls and I wasn't getting any responses.
I don't know how in literally 3 months I didn't rack up $600 in tolls.
It is what it is.
He was okay with me continuing to use his...
Take my license plate with me.
license plate until one day he wasn't, and then he wanted all that money.
So, what would be your takeaway from that?
I think as a layperson, my takeaway would be if you're going to sell a car, especially to someone you don't know well, it's not a family member, it's, either a stranger or acquaintance, take your own plates off the car. Get a receipt, bring it to DMV, because your name, your address, your phone number will be tied to tickets, SunPass charges, and even maybe an accident. You just don't want your name associated with the vehicle anymore once you relinquish your ownership.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case number 212, Duenas versus Cho.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Duenas, it looks to me from your papers that you decided to go into a business with someone.
Yes.
With whom?
With the defendant, Brian Chow.
And you know him how?
He's a family friend.
And you know what his business is?
Yes.
What is his business?
He currently sells reticulated pythons, snakes, exotic animals, monitors, lizards.
And you like those things?
My ex-boyfriend did.
Did you?
I was more for the investment part.
Okay.
I was the investor at the time.
At the time you reached out to this family friend who was in the exotic snake business, your idea was to create a business.
No, Your Honor. It was actually the defendant's idea.
I don't care whose idea it was. Your idea was to create a business with your ex-boyfriend.
I agreed to the business, but it wasn't our idea.
Whether you agreed to the business or not, you invested money in the business.
Yes.
Which means that unless there's something wrong with you, and I see that there is not, you wanted to go into business with the defendant.
Yes.
So let's be easy.
Okay.
And at the time that you wanted to go into business with the defendant, I'll get to what the nature of that business was in a second. I know it had something to do with that wonderful-looking snake. You had a boyfriend.
Yes.
And the boyfriend liked snakes.
Yes.
And you went along with the ride.
Yes.
What month and year were you still with the boyfriend when you decided to go into the business, which you will explain to me?
Back in November of 2019.
So right before COVID.
Yes.
What was your boyfriend doing at the time?
He was working at an airport.
And he and Mr. Cho were friends?
Yes.
How long had you known him?
2-3 weeks, Your Honor.
Where did you meet him?
He came into my store and acquired
I didn't ask you anything. That's how you met him?
Yes.
I'm going to get through this case and get this lovely thing out of the courtroom as quickly as I possibly can. Well, some people find them exotic and gorgeous. I find them a little bit squirmy. So in November 2019, boyfriend and you decided to go into the business. Explain the business that you invested in.
I invested on 5 reticulated pythons, breed them, and make a profit out of them.
So the intention was never for you to take these pythons to your residence?
No.
And you understood that? No.
They're buying the snake, Your Honor.
Okay. How much were the 5 snakes?
In total, it was $10,000, plus the feeding and the cages that he claimed that the snakes needed.
Was it your agreement that for $10,000, Ms. Duenas and the boyfriend were going to buy 1 male snake and 4 females?
They decided to buy 2 snakes.
Well, when was that decision made, sir?
A week after I met him, because
When you went into the shop, did you ultimately decide on 1 male, 1 female?
No, so how it is, Your Honor, is he knew my ex-boyfriend prior to the business 5 years ago. He sold him a exotic Australian monitor lizard.
Okay, what I want you to tell me is, did there come a time when the arrangement changed, so instead of 1 male and 4 females, you were supposed to get 1 male and 1 female?
No, Your Honor. The whole way it was supposed to be 1 male and 4 females.
Do you have any sort of a receipt for that?
We have Instagram conversations.
Do you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
One male, 4 females. The guy's asking $15,000 for all, and then he says, I'll drop it to 12. Then somebody, I don't have 12 now. I just spent a lot on my monitor. Let's go the rest. Okay, so he said, I don't have that money now. He says, I'm getting 16 lace monitors. You remember that discussion? And then that's a big investment for me right now. I'm saving up to get a house, but I'm down to breed my monitor with any of your monitors. Keep going. So far, I don't have a contract. And then somebody says, no, you pay half and I pay half. Who wrote that?
He did.
Next month. And that's from you. That's from the reptile.
I had to say it, Your Honor.
Okay. If I invest half with you, what will be my return and in how long? Think about it. That's will be the baby's mix price. JTK Reptiles, that's you. Somebody's on their way. That's you and your boyfriend?
Yes. We were on our way to give him the money.
And how much money were you going to give him?
We gave him the first time $6,000 and then $4,000. A total of $10,000.
You received that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what did you purchase with the $10,000?
If you look at the message from there, what she showed you is they pay half of the 5 snake. It means they get 2 of the snake, and I get 2 of the snake. They've been lying to you guys since day one. They want to purchase 2 snake. Then I told them, like, if you look at the message, I can use my male to breed it to your female. It's an investment for you guys, not for us. It's no us. It's not with them at all.
Mr. Cho, were they supposed to take possession of the snakes?
They're supposed to pick up the snake. That's why they come to the store with it.
Which snakes were they supposed to take possession of?
One right here and one out there.
Is that a male or a female?
This is the female.
Has she had babies yet?
No, I don't breed her because she don't belong to me.
And how old is she?
Right now, she should be about 6 years old, going 7.
How long do they live?
Over 30 to 40 years, depends on how you take care of them, like I take care of them.
And there's another one outside the courtroom that's the same as this one. Yes. Also a female?
Yes.
And you gave them the $10,000. He acknowledges the $10,000. So we have a verbal contract that you were going to pay for some snakes. He was going to order the snakes for you, which he did. And that was accomplished, and the payment for the snakes was done on what date, the first payment?
Approximately in November of 2019.
And when was the next $4,000 payment?
The same month, I would say like a week.
Good. And when did you order the snakes, Mr. Chow?
Right after I get yeah, because I cannot just acquire the animal without the payment.
Okay, so now you've got the payment and you order the animals.
Yes.
On what date do they arrive?
2 days after, they're FedEx delivered to my shop.
And when did you notify the plaintiff that they were there?
The day that they came. I tell them the snake. I notify the boyfriend.
Okay. Now, Ms. Duenas, a week later you went to the shop. And what happened when you went to the shop? Now he's got $10,000 and he's got 2 snakes.
I just want to clarify, Your Honor, that we even gave him money for the tanks because here in the conversations it says that he can't continue having them in tubs. So he needs us to give him money to invest to buy the tanks to house the snakes. So our original plan was for him to keep the snakes because he has the shop. We, at the time, lived in an apartment. He was well aware of this, that we couldn't have big snakes in our apartment.
He says no, you say yes. I'm not sure how I can resolve that. I'm trying to simplify this contract.
Cassandra Duenas claims exotic pet store owner Brian Chow owes her money for a snake breeding business. Brian says Cassandra changed her mind about the business after he purchased the snakes.
Okay, part of the contract was fulfilled because you paid him. Then he ordered the snakes. Second part was fulfilled. I want you to tell me what happened when you went to see the snakes. You say to see them. He says to pick them up a week later.
So when we went to the shop,
Who went?
Led us to
Who went?
My ex-boyfriend and I. What led us to there is because after he obtained the snakes, he was not reaching out back to us. He was
just a week later.
Yes.
You went to the shop. Mm-hmm. He notified you that the snakes were there. Mm-hmm. There's no question about that. Mm-hmm. Now, you went to the shop for what purpose?
Because he switched it and then he said it was 2 snakes when originally the plan was 1 male and 4 females. That 1 male was going to breed with the 4. So right out the back, he lied to us what our agreement was here, that he clearly texted us and said 4 males and 1 female. So it was 5 snakes. So we went to the shop.
Yeah, but there was a problem there with pricing. In the Instagram messages, a suggestion, because some of the texts were unavailable. He said originally they were $15,000. Mm-hmm. And then there was some discussion of $12,000. And then there was some discussion of $6,000. He says he'll pay half and you pay half. And supposed to give them the snakes. Why would you pay half?
Then they get the 2 of the snake and I get the 2 of the other snake. It's 5 of them. And the one that we're gonna pretty much, they can have it if they want it, or I can use it when I need it.
You mean the male?
Yes.
So that was the business. Anyway, you went there and what happened?
So I went in recording. My ex-boyfriend told me, hey, record.
Don't tell me what your ex-boyfriend told you.
Okay.
Just tell me you went in and what happened.
We went in there and we asked him, hey, we agreed on 5 snakes. Now you switched up and you said now it's 2 snakes. First you told us it was $15,000, then $12,000. You were playing games with us the whole time. And at this point, after a week later that he said that he got the snakes, then he told us it was 2 snakes. At that point, we were upset because we had planned and we had counted with 5 snakes. That's why we gave him that ridiculous amount of money. And basically, we didn't want nothing else to do with him. We wanted our money back. And that's what we went for, our money back.
Just a second. Yes. So you walked in wanting your money back?
Yes.
Do you have any text messages, Instagram messages, suggesting that before you got there, you had said to him, we changed our mind, we don't want to be in business with you, we want our money back?
No.
Nothing?
No. He wasn't reaching out, sorry, Your Honor, he wasn't reaching out to us. He was sending him video calls, he was calling him through text message, my ex-boyfriend.
I don't care. You paid the money, he got snakes. The question is, you think there's supposed to be more than 2? He says 2. More money. So the ultimate agreement was for 2. So what happened when you went there? You're there with your boyfriend.
Yes.
And you say, I want my money back. And he says,
I don't have the money here. I have 2 snakes here.
Are you telling me that he didn't call you and say your snakes are in? Is that what you're suggesting? Do you have an invoice for these snakes, Mr. Chow?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the invoice for the snakes. By the way, your boyfriend has other of these exotic creatures. Is that right?
To the people that I get them.
What kind of exotic creatures does he have?
One that he sold him, an Australian water monitor from the Philippines.
And?
He has 2 rhino iguanas, a pair. He has a, I don't know the name, but it changes colors.
Mr. Chow, 18.
And those are for the lace monitor that
Are these lace monitors?
Yes.
Sorry, Your Honor, these are not lace monitors. These are reticulated pythons. These are not monitors. Monitors are lizards. These are snakes.
Lace monitor bell face.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that's not that.
No, Your Honor.
Well, these are useless.
Yes, but that's connected to the rest of what they did.
What does it have to do with these 2 snakes? What I want to see is when you purchased these 2 snakes.
Yeah, I don't have it, Your Honor.
Well, get it. What do you mean you don't have it?
I left it at home. I'm so sorry.
Well, what'd you bring these for?
Those are the time that they both got arrested when they went to my shop.
Yeah, but you now have those back, right?
Yes.
You have those back. So if you had to take documents, why didn't you take the documents for the snakes in question? The lace monitor lizards aren't in question. You have them back. They may have taken them. They were arrested and you finally got them back. So I don't understand that.
I just mistaken grabbed the wrong paper.
Well, Mr. Chow, do you deal with these people regularly, that you buy snakes from them regularly?
Not really. Depends on the size of the animal and depends what kind of animal.
Well, you have the date of purchase someplace, Mr. Chow, and I don't want you to waste my time.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's why I just said I don't have it, Your Honor.
Did they purchase that kind of snake?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
It was 5 snakes, Your Honor.
Don't give me 5. That type of snake.
Oh, yes, the reticulated python, yes.
And the one that's outside is the same, correct?
Yes.
And you did not purchase baby snakes.
No.
You wanted full-grown snakes because they were a business. You wanted them able to be... breeding. Okay. Should have brought the paperwork. And you went in there that day in November because you had changed your mind.
Yes, and on top... Yes.
Because you had changed your mind.
Yes.
That's the answer. You had changed your mind. You can give me a whole bunch of excuses, and you told him you changed your mind, you want your money back. And he said no, because I ordered the snakes, and I got them in, and they're yours. Contract is completed. I'm merely holding your property. And then there was a kerfuffle.
Pay for them.
No, that's not your business. That's not your business, how much you really paid for them. He made a deal. You paid him. If he got them for $2,000 and you paid him $10,000, that's nothing. The kerfuffle, let's draw this down to its most simple English. You wanted your money back and you wanted to cancel this contract.
Yes, it's just when we arrived, those weren't the snakes that we ordered. These were the breed of it, is the ones that he was putting here on Instagram, which I have, which is not those. So we ordered something and we got something else. So
is what you're telling me, you went there to pick up your... Because now it's changed. You went there to pick up your snakes. When you got there, they turned out to be a different...
It's breed. It's like the...
Pythons, right?
Yes.
They're pythons, but it was a different kind of python. Now you're telling me because it was a different python, you wanted your money back.
Yes, because it wasn't what we paid for. It's like we paid for a Ferrari and we got a Toyota, basically. It's basically
You know nothing about pythons, so you're taking your cues from your boyfriend because that's his strong suit. Is it yours as well?
No, I'm just the investor.
Right. So your boyfriend had a conversation with him and said, those aren't the snakes that I ordered.
Yes.
Okay. And I want my money back.
Yes.
And you said you recorded all this.
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Exotic pet store owner Brian Chow of wrongfully keeping money for a snake breeding business. Brian says he fulfilled their agreement and claims Cassandra stole property from his store.
And you said you recorded all this.
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
You just press play.
Which one?
Oh, right here. And then you press that.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
You guys just want to do the money back?
Yeah. The 10,180 in total, and then money on top of that for lending you the money and everything.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, because we didn't see this coming. You just kept on giving us a runaround and a runaround.
Oh, no, what?
About the mail. Remember that?
No, that's why I'm waiting for the mail to be delivered. I don't have the mail.
Yeah, but remember you had told us that the guy had it because he had to leave and he had to gut out because he has surgery and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We gave you the money right there and then. You don't understand what mission we had to go
I
through.
didn't know. I don't mind getting you guys your money back, but I don't have cash.
We told you we want to do business correct, and you just keep on giving us another day and another day.
You told us as soon as we give you the money, the snake was going to be here.
Yeah, it's not about me, it's the guy. It's not me. I'm just buying the snake from some different guy.
And then another thing where you messed up, you said 5 snakes for 6,000 and you come at me with 4 and you wasted my money.
Yeah, and I told you that he gave me only 4 snakes, the big giant.
Yeah, and why would you waste money if I told you to get the 5 snakes?
If you worry about the last one, I can pay for it. It's a mail that we don't need.
But I have to do all this, so I have to get like this for you to do that?
No, bro.
How can I trust you now?
Bro, the 4 snake is right here.
I'm gonna go get something.
What's wrong with you, bro? I'm just asking you. Let's talk.
No, we're not gonna talk. I told you don't with me.
I don't talk with you, bro.
Dog.
Why? What's
that's
wrong?
Because we gave you a lot of money. We're talking about over $10,000, and you're just giving us the runaround. First, you told us 5 snakes.
This is what we can do. I'll take it. And when you get the money, I'll give it back. Yeah, female too.
Oh, no.
Oh, no? All right, well.
Come on, bro. You're looking at a 15 grand.
I told you don't play with me.
I don't play with you.
You don't even have the money right now.
Open them up, man.
I got the half of the money.
Open them up.
I'm trying to talk to you, bro.
No, there's no more talking because we gave you the money right here and then. That's unprofessional. You're trying to scam us, and you don't do that to people like that.
I didn't. How did I scam you?
Before I open it.
You're telling me that you don't have the money.
I have half of the money because I'm waiting for the snake. Bro, if you guys gonna get arrested.
There's no arresting. We're just getting what you took from us. Over $10,000.
I'm trying to talk to you.
You're gonna open it.
I'm trying to
No, we tried to talk to you. You're telling us you're gonna have the money. I have everything in video.
I don't care. You can record me, bro.
Alright, so are you gonna
You don't play with people's money. You can call whoever you want.
$15,000.
This is 15 grand.
We don't care.
Can you call a cop, please?
No. Alright, watch out. Back away. I told you, don't play with my money.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? He owes me money.
I don't care. He owes his money.
They're gonna deal with it. With the police.
Now I'll play that video, please. That's your boyfriend breaking into the...
Yes.
And when he broke the glass and took out whatever lizards he took out with him, where did he take them? You were still with him?
Yes, he put it in a bin.
And is that you carrying them out?
Yes, and that's the reason why I was charged with the robbery, just because I walked out with the item.
That's all right. That's fine. That's a co-conspirator. Ultimately, the lizards that you took were returned to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it seems, Mr. Chow, at the beginning of this case, I must acknowledge to you that I was sympathetic to your position, that they had ordered snakes. You ordered them. You got them.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then the contract is completed. uncross your arms.
No, I'm so sorry.
But it's clear from the tape that the plaintiff played for me that you acknowledged that you did not fulfill your end of the contract, that you were blaming your inability to fulfill your end of the contract on some third party. Is that what I heard in the tape? I mean, you know, my hearing's not really acute, but that's what you said. I have no control. I can give you back half your money, but I can't give you back all your money. So the contract was not complete.
It was complete because they supposed to get only 2 snakes.
I didn't see anywhere where it says just 2 snakes. There was a whole bunch of conversation there about the male snake, and you were supposed to deliver to them the male snake. And you said, I don't have that money now, but I can get that money for you. I can give you the first money. I don't have the second money. It was clear that the contract was not complete unless you have something to show me that it was. But what I heard, it was not. That doesn't mean that Ms. Duenas has the right to break your property and to steal property that belongs to you. What they do is they come into a court and say, you have my money. The contract was not fulfilled. I want my money back. That's what you do. Are you in the business of breeding snakes for your store?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if we were to go on the internet now,
Yes, Your Honor.
how much would one of those snakes, which is 6 or 7 years old, according to you, sell for?
Right now, this size, you
On the internet, for sale. How fast would it take you to sell it?
I'll say like about a month and a half.
They're rare.
Yes.
Is that right? That's what you're saying.
It's rare and is just not a lot of people will acquire that much money.
Even though they can sell the babies. And how many babies do they have?
In a year, they can do from 30 to 50.
And each one of the 30 to 50, you can sell for $3,500.
Yes.
I suggest you do that. She gets her $10,000 back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I'm very happy, and I'm happy that she was able to see herself that the defendant got caught in multiple lies.
They're just a customer.
He wasn't truthful since the beginning. Ever since we invested.
They bought a snake. I just want to give their snake, but they don't want to take it.
And it's very sad how nowadays you can't trust in anybody.
I think one great lesson that a lot of people can take away from that is you have to know the business that you're investing in. I can appreciate she was sort of doing it for her boyfriend and he had the knowledge about the exotic animals, but that's her money at the end of the day. And if you're going to put your own hard-earned money on the line, it should be a business that you at least put in the time to learn about.
To understand.
Exactly. So that you don't have to rely on somebody else to make the right decisions.
Who's going to be gone tomorrow?
Exactly. Exactly.
And your money
who potentially could, and then you're left on your own, having to sue and navigate a field that you really know nothing about.
Smart. And it was also an example of a contract that was not fully executed.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought when I started the case that there was an offer, an acceptance, you performed, paid the money, got the snakes, and then you can't change your mind. Once you get it, you say, well, I changed my mind. But that's not what happened.
Nope.
And her video demonstrated that that's not what happened because Mr. Chow started to waft. Well, it's not my fault I don't have your mail. It's another guy, and I would give it to you, but I can't give it to you as soon as I get it, you know.
Yeah.
So he did not deliver on the contract. So I had very little compulsion other than to say, you don't have to take the snake and you get your money back.
Yeah.
Anyway, done. Yeah. And the snake is gone.
Left the building.
Ay, tinte banana shake.